Welcome to the Trans Am Series presented by Pirelli, which this week comes from the iconic Road Atlanta circuit here in Georgia as part of the Atlanta SpeedTour. We're excited because this is a doubleheader and the points are getting more and more important, as we found out last time out just 2 weeks ago at the Circuit of the Americas. Let's take a look at the action from there. Kota, it was a great battle in TA2 for the 100-mile race. Rafa Matos taking the lead early on at turn 1 ahead of Cameron Lawrence. Then drama in the midfield as Elias Anderson, the local man, went round and caused a caution. Mike Skeen getting damage to the rear end of his car, but staying in third place with Paul Tracy coming up the hill in the 87 in fourth. The battle between Rafa Matos and Cameron Lawrence lasted all race long. But in the end, it was Rafa Matos, the Brazilian, who would take a famous victory over Cameron Lawrence as they both went in pursuit of the man who would finish third, Mike Skeen, the championship leader. Confirmation then of the results, Skeen, with 211 points now, leads Rafa Matos with Cameron Lawrence in third going into the final round. The TA and GT classes up the hill, Boris Said leading Ernie Francis Jr. into the first corner. Tommy Tracy going wide, but gathering it all together. Sadly though, at turn 12 he would go round, missing his braking point, almost stalling out, but kept going. The battle though, with 11 laps to go, was Ernie Francis Jr. into turn 11 on Boris Said. He would get ahead, but Said would come back. Dyson out of contention, and Boris Said marched on to another victory for Poncho Weaver. But in the championship, Ernie Francis Jr. still leads from Tommy Tracy and Simon Gregg. In XGT, it was Jason Daskalos, the New Mexican, taking the victory, but stays third. Kent Waits leading the way from Eric Joyner. And Lee Saunders just holding on to a slim lead by 5 points in SGT with a win by Gugliotti. It's a great action from Kota, and I think Ben Sissel joining me again. It's going to be the same here. This circuit is superb for racing, as you can see from the S's behind us. But it's got even more important, Ben, because now it's also a doubleheader and the grand finale.
Yeah, unfortunately, due to COVID, we had to cancel our last race at Laguna Seca, which really puts the heat on in the Trans Am classes, being a doubleheader, and now this is our grand finale at this beautiful track.
Yeah, and with a doubleheader, that means you get to race on Saturday and then all classes race on Sunday, which makes it very difficult. In TA, obviously, Ernie Francis Jr. is going to be favourite. He's looking for his 7th title, but it's far from over, especially when you throw Boris Said in there, who won the last race. So that's going to be interesting. And then in TA2, that's going to be a good one, because as you know, Mike Skeen looks good, but so does Rafa.
Yeah, and Rafa's good here. He actually won his first race in TA2 at Road Atlanta. Talking to his crew, they expect him to win both races, which would put him right there mathematically.
XGT, SGT, and GT. Now let's talk about that. Kent Waits obviously has been leading in XGT, but again, there's enough for it to all go wrong in a doubleheader. The interesting one, I think, is SGT, because it's changed, hasn't it?
Yeah, since the last one, Adrian Lostowski's really caught up to Lee Saunders. But then we have some spoilers in there, like Mark Brummond is here, and he's always fast in SGT.
And finally, in GTs, it's also getting interesting. Tim Horrell has led all season long, but Billy Griffin is the man of the moment, so that too is up for grabs. Now let's turn to SBRA, your expertise. What have we got when it comes to vintage here?
We've got almost 90 cars here in our 2020 season finale. Everybody loves this circuit. We're going to look for 25 radicals out there with us this weekend, but then my favorite, the Mazda Heritage Cup, this is their finale.
Well, and you mentioned Miatas. There's also a good story in that too, because remember, last time out we had the father-son combination of the Brabhams. This week, it's the father-son combination of Boris Said and his son, because Boris's son is racing in the Miatas. What a weekend, what a motorsport. Boris Said takes victory at the Circuit of the Americas. Well, Boris, after a lifetime of probably listening about your father's career and being around it, you're taking the plunge. You're having to go yourself.
I mean, about 2 years ago, I just decided I wanted to start go-kart racing, and now I'm here. Decided I wanted to do it one day.
Now, is the old man a help or a hindrance? He knows what he's doing, but does he want to help you, or does we want to leave you alone?
He's pretty helpful. I think he kind of knows what he's talking about.
I was excited because, you know, it's something that I love to do, and so it's cool that he loves to do it, and I never really pushed him to it. You know, early on when he was born, I think I bought him a dirt bike when he was like 3 months old, and my wife was like, "You're a little early," and you know, and it looked like he didn't want to do stuff like that for a long time, and then all of a sudden one day, I want a dirt bike, and we were dirt biking.
I've always been racing dirt bikes, and about 2 years ago, I just decided I wanted to try outdoor go-karting, and yeah. I don't really know why, I just decided I wanted to try.
And he tried it and loved it, so, you know, I know since I got bit by the bug, I can see it in somebody when they get bit by the bug. And, you know, he's definitely got a lot of talent, and he definitely has a passion for it. So, you know, we're having a lot of fun doing it together.
I mean, he sort of just like, he didn't force me into it, or he didn't like push me away from me. He sort of said, you know, if you want to do it, you can, but he's definitely like supportive and helpful about it. This is my second time ever on track. About 2 weeks ago, I did a test day at Buttonville in California, and thanks to Tony Perella, he rented me a car, and here I am just doing this race weekend here for SVRA.
So can I get a world exclusive and say that there is another Boris Said on the way for American racing?
There is another Boris Said on the way for American racing.
Well, the Road Atlanta circuit is loved by both drivers and fans alike, and you can see when you look at the complex behind me that comes over the hill and down through these S's just how exciting it can be. Let's take a look now at the full track guide of Road Atlanta. Opened in 1970, the 12-turn, 2.54-mile Road Atlanta circuit climbs through the hills and forests of Braselton, Georgia, climbing uphill through turn 1 into a blind crest at 2, before diving through the S's downhill through 4, 5, and then back uphill to the first overtaking position at 6, a quick straight to 7, and then very important to get good exit out of 7, because then it's a long dive through 8 and 9, just a slight kink, downhill to a major overtaking part at 10, into the stadium section and back uphill, tricky through here, easy to get it wrong, under the bridge, and then down to the final turn 11 and 12, and that's a lap of Road Atlanta. Well, as you can see, a truly exciting and challenging circuit here in Georgia. Now, we're going to take a short break, but when we come back, we start the racing with the Radicals, then it's TA, and later in the day, TA2. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
What if they sold tires online?
We do. We're TireRack.com.
They could offer lots of tires and help you find the right tire.
It's called the Tire Decision Guide.
Oh, and they could ship them to a nearby mechanic.
We shipped over 7,000 independent recommended installers.
This is an amazing idea.
Sorry.
Tire buying should be.
I found a place in my heart. I found a light in the dark. I found my heaven.
The Range Rover Evoque.
Hello and a warm welcome to Road Atlanta. We welcome you to Road Atlanta. What a beautiful sight and a beautiful day here. You wouldn't believe it's November. We're usually here in March, and this is what it looks like in March, but I can't believe I'm saying this. It looks like this right now. I'm Jonathan Green, and alongside me for this Radical Cup, as they come out on their warm-up lap, Tom Drewer, the regional manager of the Radical Sports Cars. Tom, welcome to Road Atlanta, and what a perfect day for going racing.
It's stunning, isn't it? What an amazing circuit. This is our final round of the championship, and it's just so fantastic to be under the sunshine here after quite a cold week.
In 30 seconds, tell me what's happened before we get to the, but what has the year gone, and who should we be looking for in this race?
Well, there's so many little stories. Where do I begin? Let's start with the outright championship. So at the moment, Terry Olsen in car 16, he's a Masters class competitor, but he's leading those outright points. However, I suspect with the larger grid in the Pro 1500 class that we'll see whoever wins the Pro 1500 championship take that outright title. In terms of that 1500 championship, Indial Miller is the points leader, but you'll notice that he's back in the grid. A 10-point penalty for him carried over from the last round at Kota. So Al Miller really putting himself in a tough position after having a tremendous year, and hopefully it doesn't unravel for him, but trying to pick up the pieces are plenty of competitors. Steve Jenks, Gerhard Watzinger, Greg Gorski, Mel Johnson, all in the title fight. But there's some young guns that have joined the field, including Jordan Missig, who had a year.
That's cool. Yeah, he's been doing Formula 3 or Formula Regional, yeah?
Absolutely. Jordan Missig and Ryan Bjerke are ones to watch in that Pro 1500 class as well.
These S's are going to be great for these radicals. How good is the grid? I mean, let's talk about the car itself. A lot of people know what a radical is. A lot of people don't. Tell us what radical racing is all about, because would it be rude to say it's an entry-level racing car or not?
It is. It's an entry-level racing car with a lot of legs, if you like.
Right, yeah.
So the great thing about a radical is they're extremely confidence-inspiring. You can get behind the wheel as an absolute novice. And just to point out, we will be having 2 pace laps this morning.
Gotcha.
So the lights aren't out on the safety car or just yet.
And the reason being just to get the tyres up to speed and get everybody.
That's right. That's right. It's been quite cold here this weekend. There's championships on the line. We just want to make sure everyone's up to speed and got plenty of temperature.
No, I'm not the first to notice. There's different kinds of cars, or at least bodywork. Is there any difference in the engines, or is it just the bodywork?
Yeah. So the bodywork is a little bit different. You have to have a bit of an eagle eye, though.
Yeah.
So you'll notice one closed cockpit car. That's the big 650 horsepower.
I like that.
RXC Coupe. Yeah, how can you not? Traction control, ABS, all the bells and whistles. That's sort of the ultimate track day toy. But then the other cars we'll see here coming towards us. That's Alex Papadopoulos, who, of course, is going to lead this field to the green. He's in an older SR8. You can see he's in the Masters class because there's the Dayglow yellow on the rear wings.
Gotcha.
Then you'll notice that a couple of those SR8s behind him have big nostrils in the front end. That's the more modern version of this car.
Well, and I can see the pace car is coming off, which means we are going racing for the Radical Cup for the first time of the day. And away they go. Alex Papadopoulos will lead them to the first corner. Good clean start, but everybody jostling for position up the inside, but it's uphill now, and they're going to sort themselves out at the top of the hill. This is going to be a really exciting run down towards the S's as through goes the 97.
So that's
Zach Ping.
That is Zach Ping, and making a mark. So he's only just started his racing career. And look at this already. Alex Papadopoulos doing a good job in that 21 machine. He was extremely quick at Kota, effectively his home track.
Yeah.
With S's Racing, Radical Texas. And one to watch there, John Field in that black mean machine. The 37, John Field, of course, a lot of experience around Road Atlanta in much bigger prototypes.
Tom Olsen just going through 7-7, the key corner here, I always say, because got to get good drive. How fast can these things go?
Well, extremely quick. I don't know what the top speed is here at the back of the straightaway at Road Atlanta, but as you can see, the car's streaming along that long, well, it's a bit of a twist, isn't it,
yeah,
in the back straight
it's
here.
Flat out, though, yeah.
It's absolutely flat out, and high downforce in these cars as well. And so these cars are extremely quick, and we'll see the lap times. I mean, a 120 flat, basically, in qualifying, so awesomely quick around this circuit.
Well, Alex Papadopoulos leading the way at the moment. From John Field, Judd Miller, then Terry Olsen in the yellow and white. Jordan Missig, the man we were talking about earlier, is in 5th place. Steve Jenks in 6th. And Gerhard, is it Watzinger? Is just behind them. But a good clean start. And already the field spreading out. And a great start from Alex Papadopoulos. He really is flying, fulfilling that 120.2 from qualifying and now streaming away as he was already through the S's. And the rest are following through. Good start, good clean start.
Absolutely, and on screen, that's the 24 of Greg Gorski, Smoke Buddy machine, followed closely by the One Motorsports teammate So that's Mel Johnson behind him. Both of those guys in the hunt for the 1500 class championship. And up ahead, that's the CrowdStrike car of. Yep. So it's a shame that his teammate George Kurtz couldn't be with us this weekend, but Watzinger, another one that's got a chance to win the Pro 1500 class championship.
So where do you race, Tom? Where do they go?
So
where do the cars go?
All around North America and all around the world.
Overtake into 10A, 10B. He almost got in there. That was a good move.
Yeah, and absolutely, John Field under pressure from Judd Miller. So Miller, the reigning Masters class champion, and he's needs to do everything to get up the pointy end of the field here, because that man behind in the 16, Terry Olsen, is leading that points battle.
This is a great battle, and this is the battle for second, third, and fourth. Alex Papadopoulos has popped off, quite literally, away from this group we're watching for second, third, and fourth. Olsen at the back of the group, and as you say, they're trying desperately to make a move, but that one didn't come off at the bottom of 10B. But he'll build again. The next chance probably at 6 coming up the hill now.
Yeah, so getting back to your question, we race all around the country, and the wonderful thing about Radical cars is that you can use them at your local track days, you can use them at SCCA and NASA club competition, and then come out and tick off the bucket list circuits in the Blue Marble Radical Cup North America Series. And of course, the wonderful thing is, Radical, a bit like Porsche and Ferrari and Lamborghini, you can go race these cars around the world. So Jim Booth, one of our competitors, has done that with his son, and look at this.
He's trying an outside move this time. I don't think he's going to pull that off either, but he might just do the switchback. Here he goes. It depends on the drive up the hill. Yeah. No, hasn't pulled it off.
Hasn't pulled it off, has he? So managed to get a gap. Of course, this is playing into the hands of Terry Olsen, the championship points leader. And Olsen said to me, look, he's just got to try and keep. But of course, if he can get Mr. Miller, and for that meant Mr. John Field, then he's going to make his championship sort of fight all that easier as these races go on. This is the first of 3 races this weekend, and plenty of points up for grabs.
Well, Judd Miller doing a really good job of putting the pressure on John Field. Olsen, though, waiting to pounce, and as you quite rightly point out, as these two fight each other on track for position, Olsen is actually catching both of them. So we've got a real humdinger of a battle going on as they head down towards 6 again. Not close enough this time. And perhaps, as the race goes on, still a long way to go, this man here in the 48, Jordan Missick, could do a bit of catching. Has he got the spirit of Jimmy Johnson? It's always bold to take a 48.
What an amazing job, though, he's doing. He's really matching the pace of the SR8s at the moment. So impressive from the young gun from Autobahn Country Club, Team Stradale. What I did notice, though, and this is critical for the points championship in 1500, Steve Jenks looks like he's had a stellar start. He was qualified second in that class, but he's managed to maintain that second place position, and that's really helpful for him because he's got quite a few points to catch up on the class leader, Indy Al Miller. So we'll have to see where he's is in the field as well, because he started way back. He's running 13th at the moment. So he's got a little bit of work to do, but again, all he really needs to do is just have a clean race here today.
Tom, the story's changing because Tom Olsen is the man to watch at the moment. Terry Olsen is the man to watch at the moment, because look how closer he's getting now to the back of Judd Miller as they come down through S's. Oh, what a good battle here as well between the 88 and the 12. 88 is Ryan Kelly, 12 Ryan Bajek. Is it Bajecki or Bajek?
Bjerke, I think.
Bjerke,
Ryan Bjerke, a young gun. Both of those guys joining the series for the first time. Oh, a little bit of a lock-up there or something. But look at this. Indy Al Miller has to make a move. He has to get past that closed cockpit coupe, and he's going for it on the grass. He doesn't want to do that. Oh, big moment in the S's. That could have been the championship all over for him. He's just got to keep it on the black stuff. Gee, he's got to be careful.
That's lucky, because I know how slippy that can be. I'm glad it's dry and they haven't had rain here. We had Petit Le Mans here a few weeks ago, and if you go off on those S's, you're going nowhere.
And the 418 of 418, that's Nick Pearson. So behind him, that's almost a changing of the guard. You've got a former champion trying to do it all over again. He's done a tremendous job this year. Behind him, another young gun in the field. So it's great to see some young kids joining the gentleman drivers in the Blue Marble Radical Cup Series. And to sort of hark back to what you asked me before, is it an entry-level car? Absolutely. But the great thing is, guys like John Field, we've had Formula One drivers, Lewis Hamilton, all sorts of folks, and that's Palmer Miller. So Palmer Miller, who was a bit of an outside chance, if you like, for the 1500 class championship, stuck on the side of the motor race track, and that's the end of his motor race.
Now,
so
do you think they're going to put a caution out for this, or just do a local yellow?
Well, it was in an ominous position, I think.
It's a tough one, that.
It is.
He's off the line, but he's not on track, but he's close enough to the track. It could cause a problem.
The good thing is that that point in the racetrack, he's not really in harm's way because the cars are trying to point themselves down the S's. But yeah, hard to leave a car there. And Todd Snyder, our race director, doing a good job there, rapidly responding. So a full course caution, of course, that means the cars are going to close up again. This is going to be more chances for those guys fighting it out, not only for the race win, but those championship battles.
And Alex Papadopoulos is going to be swearing in good Texan fashion, I would have thought, right now, because he's going, I did all that work for nothing?
Absolutely, of course. Then you've got Terry Olsen will be licking his chops, waiting for this restart. I wouldn't be surprised if Steve Jenks is thinking the same thing. You know, Jordan got that great break with the cold tyres, but Jenks is a wily old fox, if you like. He's got plenty of laps around this circuit. Not so much in the Radical, but in open-wheel cars. I'm just looking back through here to see how we're going in the 1340 class. So Eric Wagner is leading that class over Chris Kemp and Jeff Ping. And the only retirement so far, Palmer Miller left stricken on the racetrack.
Like you say, he's open to everybody who wants to come and take part in Radicals. Is great, from the youngsters coming up to the more experienced drivers who just want to have fun in their race car.
Yeah, and the great thing about these cars is it's really produced a number of talents over the years. One notable one, John Field. I've just had an
Don't worry, we're going to take a short break anyway. Don't worry. We can have a senior moment anytime you like. We are under caution here at Road Atlanta. Therefore, the cars are going slowly, keeping their tyres warm. And while they do the same, and there's a break in the action, we'll take a break here. We'll be right back from Road Atlanta in a moment.
John Felb.
One of the focuses of this program is not only building the car, but we're building the entire student.
Making can only happen if you do it on your own.
It's all about project-based learning.
Take it out, straw it up.
How do we build a team?
Winter Circle benefits my students in multiple ways. It starts off with teamwork, and it's not just a standard, here's the facts, spit it back, school. It's a product that you generate that has to be worked on till it's right, not till it's done.
I really see the students engaging in ways that we have not seen before.
The Winter Circle allows us to work more as a team rather than individuals to create something bigger.
When we do like all these tasks and hands-on stuff, I understand it more.
We've been looking a long time at how the middle class has been shrinking and how there's been a problem with people just going to college and not knowing what they want to do. We really want to be able to bring entrepreneurship and trades back into middle America.
This opportunity goes so far beyond the school year. It's about opening the door to a world of possibilities. The world of science, technology, engineering, the arts and math. All of these things are available, and it shows up every single day.
Right now in my life, I don't really have something that I'm focused on to go to, and this project allows me to become like who I want to be when I grow up.
A circle has no beginning and it has no end. It's the ultimate symbol of teamwork. And that's a philosophy that we really want our students to leave and go out into the workforce with. It's not just what can they get for themselves, but what can they give back.
Please visit winners-circle.org to help support our team and get a Winners Circle project to your school.
Welcome back to Road Atlanta, where you join us under caution. And at the moment, we've also got more than a caution because it looks like car number 32 is slowing more so than the rest of the five. That's Palmer Miller. So Tom Drewer, what are you spotting?
That is the man that we saw stricken. So young Palmer Miller obviously trying to limp this thing home. And I've just got a text. John Felb was the name that I was looking for on the tip of my tongue, not John Felb. Shout out to Elaine Dursey, who's sitting at home in New York. He couldn't be with us this weekend, normally running with One Motorsports, and thank you, mate, for that.
You know, the thing about technology today, especially when you're live streaming, the whole world can tune in and put you right or wrong.
Absolutely, but John Felb, I'll do it again, John Felb, a great story, started his life racing radicals out at Spring Mountain Country Club. So many guys out at country clubs, whether it's Apex in Arizona, Autobahn in Chicago, Atlanta Motorsport Park just up the road here.
Yeah.
Starting out his racing career in radicals, did the Radical Cup, was ultra successful in this series, and then went over to Europe, won the European Le Mans Championship in LMP3 with young Sean Rahal, who's actually coaching another driver, and just ran his first ever Le Mans in LMP2. So there you go. You can start in radicals and work your way right up to the upper echelon of motorsport. But here we go. We're going back to the green. It's a good line of cars. So the racing's going to be fast and furious, I think.
Yeah, Papadopoulos got away well. That's a good restart from him, but he's under pressure now in second place. They're all over him.
Absolutely, John Field will be racy here. Field knows what to do. He's an ultra-aggressive driver. Loves these radicals.
A really good, clean restart, though. Papadopoulos now trying to do what he did last time and get a gap. To second place, John Field. Miller's there. Olsen's there. Missick not far behind. So, through the S's, up through 5 and back up the hill towards 6. We're looking at the 37, John Field, trying desperately in this first restart to get on top of the man leading the race. Olsen's in a good position too as they come to 6.
And look at this behind that battle. That looks like Steve Jenks right on the gearbox of Jordan Missick. So Jenks has managed to turn on the Hankook tyres this time by Oh, that is so close.
There was no room, but he tried it.
Yeah, Mel Johnson having a massive go into turn 7 here.
I've never seen anybody do that there.
No, and of course that affects your straight line speed down the back straight away. Well, so I think there'll be a sort of retribution, if you will.
I'm not so sure how wise that move was, but give it a go. Why not? That's radical racing for you.
Absolutely, and there's a great pack developing back there in the 1500 field. We can see them just in the background stream into turn 10 as we watch Steve Jenks trying to close on the back of that class leader, Jordan Missick. Missick now just starting to stretch his legs a little bit. Terry Olsen putting some pressure on. That's Miller.
Wow, so John Field has done a really good job because at the restart, Field has managed to stay with Papadopoulos. At the start of the race, he gapped by some 5 or 6 lengths, but right now, 2 distinct battles here for the podium.
Absolutely, and I'm hoping at some point we'll get to see more of this 1500 class battle. Here we go. Oh no, that's still Masters. You can see the headlights on those SR8 machines.
They're cool, huh?
Awesome looking cars, those big nostrils feeding plenty of cooler air into multiple radiators to keep these 400 horsepower or V8 engines, 2 Hayabusas effectively mated together on a common block, all produced in-house at Radical in Peterborough, England.
That in itself is radical. 2 Hayabusa engines. You're talking about Suzuki effectively engines, motorcycle engines, right?
Well, that's right. In the V8, I mean, it really is. You could say it's a radical engine, a bit like the old Judd Yamaha days.
Yep.
This is sort of like a radical Suzuki day because the Suzuki head, if you like, on what is a radical engine. So Yeah, beautiful engines, producing, for the weight of the engine, producing more power, if you like, than the equivalent of a Ford DFE F1 engine.
Well, the drone really giving us an illustration of the two battles going on. Now we go a little bit further back, down to 68. That's Steve Jenks.
That's Steve Jenks, and he's under pressure now, or certainly Gerhard Watzinger is starting to catch him. Watzinger has come alive in the back end of this championship. He was a little bit unlucky some of the earlier rounds, particularly Barber, if I think back. But now he's one of the only men to have been around Road Atlanta in the Cup Series many, many years ago, 2012. That was in an SR8. He's certainly doing a good job in the SR3 1500s.
And
that's
your
the top
leaderboard
three.
in 1500, yeah. Any surprises there as you look down that 1500 leaderboard?
Well, the only surprise is just how competitive it
Right,
is,
yeah.
because I look down and look at some of those names, and there are some guys impressing me. Zach Ping doing a really good job. A young kid, he's really been thrown into the deep end this weekend, and Ping right in the thick of it. Nick Pearson doing a solid job as well, still behind Indy Al Miller, who of course is leading the points at the moment. Al Miller just needs to stay on that racetrack. But look at this.
This battle for third place is really hotting up now as they go through turn one again. Olsen now looking for a way. The obvious place to me is turn 6, but I just saw an overtake, or attempted an overtake at 7. So anything goes, right?
Absolutely. I mean, with the cars, you think down into 10A.
Yeah, that's the obvious.
Who has the
bravery.
More bravery. Yeah, that's a nice, polite way to put it. I was going to say something a little more Australian.
Yes,
there.
I know. I'm with you.
But perhaps if you can get a run through 10B and onto the front straightaway, you might be able to, if you're brave enough again, get into turn 1.
Well, the overtake all starts here at the top of your screen at 7, because if you get a good drive out of 7, it's pretty much straight down to 8, the kink at 9, and then, as you mentioned, into 10 under braking. That's the obvious place. Try to take the inside line at 10 and make that move and effectively make a block pass. But you've got to get a bit of a slipstream, or at least be close enough to outbrake the man in front of you. And as you can see from these drone shots, he's just not quite close enough to do it this time.
Well, you go through 7, you get greedy as a driver.
Yeah.
Because you've really got to pace yourself into the corner so that you're getting maximum power on the exit, and of course not having to lift. It's far too easy to get a bit greedy, carry a little bit too much speed from 6 into 7. Of course, that upsets your exit. There's a couple of mile an hour that you don't carry down that long back straight.
So some great Radical Cup racing here. Tom Drewer alongside me, Jonathan Green, bringing the action. We'll be live all day, streaming Trans Am and SVRA, and more Radical Cup coming as we look at Greg Gorski.
So the 3 One Motorsports teammates, Greg Gorski and that Smoke Buddy machine. Then it's Mel Johnson and Indy Al Miller in the 500 car. That's the Blue Marble car, and we thank him for his support this year. These guys all run out at Spring Mountain Country Club in Nevada. In fact, they were running last weekend. Great mates off the track, and we have a lot of fun in this series off the track. A Blue Marble party last night, and always the guys are going out to dinner and really enjoying themselves. But once the helmet goes on, the visor comes down, and look at this fierce racing. And these guys absolutely flat out. You can see the cars squirming around a bit. We'll see if Al Miller can get a run down this back straight.
So racing right through the field here, but still out front. Alex Papadopoulos is still holding on to the lead. Judd Miller still third, but John Field is the man we're watching, obviously, to see if he can make that pass. But really, there's so many battles, it's hard to keep up. It's great racing. Here's a really good three-way battle now coming into turn 10.
And Al pops out, has a little bit of a look. He's come from a long way back and perhaps just trying to unsettle Mel Johnson. I think he did too. So in the mirrors, it was a good tactic there, it seems.
Here's that battle for third. Olsen still there. He's lost a little bit of ground in the last lap, but he's still very much in contact as they head up the hill towards 6 now again.
Well, and I know a racer's a racer, but if I was on the radio with Terry Olsen, I'd just be saying, keep it calm, mate.
Yeah.
Just keep it clean. I know that engine as well is really high in its life, believe it or
okay.
not. So they didn't want to change it. They felt that would be a bad omen. but they're trying to get through
What
this
are the
weekend.
rules on engine change? I know the engines are sealed, so they can't tinker with them overnight, right?
Well, that's right. So the good thing is it's spec racing, so the cars are really locked down in terms of what you can adapt on the cars. You've got all the setup changes that you'd want, so free spring rates, the dampers. Oh my God! Oh no!
Oh, that is surely going to get him in trouble because, I mean, he made it, but he made it only because he was able to bounce off the other competitor. That's a bit of a no-no. I don't know. You tell me.
Al Miller's got to be so careful here. He's got everything to lose in the championship. John Melsom getting a hip check.
Yeah, literally.
In turn 7, and you just got to watch the damage as well. At the end of the day, you can't go clobbering these cars. These cars will take a fair bit, but a side impact like that into the wheel,
But it wasn't really on, was it? It wasn't like he was putting a nose in front. I mean, he basically dive bombed him and like you say, gave him a hip check.
Yeah, and look at this. So Mel Johnson is he's on the side of the racetrack. He's got going again, but I think that car's got damage. So this, of course, I think this will bring out another full course caution because you can't leave a car there. The exit of turn 7, we've seen over the years so many cars get squirrely on that curbing.
Yeah.
And then they'll ricochet off the inside of the outside wall. You can see what tire barriers there.
Well, he's trying to crawl to a sort of safer position under the bridge, but he's going nowhere, is he?
That's a real shame for him. He had a chance, 3rd in points going into this weekend, and that's really probably his year done and dusted, although you've got to wonder whether now Al Miller, I know the race director Todd Snyder will be taking a good look at that because that could have championship implications.
And Olsen making a move at turn 1, and he's finally done it, has he?
And speaking of championship implications, and I think that was Olsen being a bit tentative. He's just got to keep it calm, though. Don't do an Al Miller.
No. So Olsen getting impatient now. He thought about the move at turn 1, but didn't make it stick.
I think that was those sort of the back of his mind.
Yeah.
Do I make it? No, I've got to watch this championship. All he has to do is keep those guys that are behind him in the points. And Judd Miller, who he's fighting class position for, isn't the man directly behind him.
Right.
So, at the end of the day, if Alex Papadopoulos does the job out in front, really, that helps Terry Olsen.
So down the back straight they come. And at the moment, we're still under green. I'm looking to see if any flags are changing, but they're not, which is good news. And I think Mel Johnson did a good job of getting his car out of harm's way so that we could carry... Oh, no! Oh, I thought for a moment there somebody spun, but it was just one of the lights from the drone. Caught me out.
Well, that's all right. I'm pleased so far. We've had some pretty good clean racing. The field was pretty strung out as it came to the green. A bit of a dog's breakfast start there. Hopefully we'll get a cleaner start.
And he tries it again!
Yeah.
But he's not making it stick.
I tell you what, Judd Miller is just saying, I'm going to take my normal racing line, mate. If you want to have a go, you're going to really have to get alongside me. And into turn 1 here at Road Atlanta, that is a big, big move.
Now, Papadopoulos has now got the next stage of this race to worry about. He's leading the race overall for the Masters. He's got John Field behind him, but now there are back markers coming into play.
Absolutely, and John Field is going to be looking for the race win here. That would give him maximum points. And at the moment, I think that would close him in the championship by around about 10 points. So to Terry Olsen, and trying to get a good slipstream on some of the back markers there.
Yeah, he's gapped in. He's actually, Papadopoulos has done a really good job of getting a little bit further away from John Field, using that back marker there a bit. But they're still glued together, and there's still 11 minutes to go as they come over the crest and down the hill to turn 12 again to complete another lap and past our commentary position.
How stunning does this circuit look?
I know.
All of these transporters, a huge, huge event here at Road Atlanta to really end 2020, and
yeah,
just
great.
Thrilled to be a part of this SVRA Trans Am weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I cannot believe how many groups we have in SVRA. We're in the middle of pandemic, and these guys just will not let their sport be broken. And I take my hat off to Tony Perella, John Claggett with Trans Am, and to the Radical organisers as well for doing their job of getting these guys out there safely and going racing. But at the front, it's still this man in the green and white, 21, Alex Papadopoulos. He took a 1:20.29 to take the pole, and ever since he's led this race.
Yeah, and he's 120s as well. The pace at the front of the field, really furious. So we've got a 1:20.1 for Alex Papadopoulos, though. John Field, at the moment, he's done the fastest lap of the race, a 1:20 flat. So Field effectively on the provisional pole for the next race. The fastest laps in this race set the grid for race 2. So
right.
ultra important, if you like, even if you're dicing for position.
I like that because it gives you a chance, even if you're not in a lead position, to go for one quick lap.
Yeah, but it also means you've really got to think about it. You know, you're dicing for position,
Ooh.
but you've also got to pull out a fast one.
Oh! And, well, Papadopoulos knew he needed to get past, but that was a little bit iffy, and he's lost John Field because Field had to take avoiding action. And look at the gap now, and maybe Field's gone off as well.
Well, I want to know what happened to that car. That's a
I think it's
place.
Well,
to
I
go
don't
off.
know.
The
And it
yellow
is an
flag.
all-course yellow.
Yeah, that is a nasty place to go off this racetrack, and you know, we've seen it, we saw it.
Well, what was happening was that the leaders were coming up on a back marker, Papadopoulos, and I think it was this man, Eric Wagner, and Papadopoulos had the choice of going through or not, but there's John Field.
There's John Field, so he was obviously, I think, involved, was he?
So Papadopoulos still leading in the 21.
And I was just going to point out, that was our class leader in the Pro 1340 class that actually got hip checked off the racetrack there. So Eric Wagner, that might have some major consequences for him because it might be possible, and I'm just trying to look down the timing and scoring, but we'll have to see if Chris Camp can capitalize. So a local yellow, still racing, 8 minutes to go.
High above this iconic Road Atlanta circuit with its brand new pit and paddock complex, really nice. That tower, the Michelin Tower up there, and they've done a really good job of re-renovating this circuit that was built in 1970 and it's been holding some major 2- and 4-wheel races ever since. But as you say, now we can see that paddock in its full glory. What a huge field of competitors we've got here.
Well, and I'm just looking at the chart, and big news up the front of the field because Alex Papadopoulos is now leading over Terry Olsen. So somewhere Terry Olsen made a pass stick on Judd Miller.
Well, I think. Oh, okay.
And we've lost John Field to 4th now. So Field.
Well, I think Field went off. I think Field went off and managed to get back on undamaged, but he's lost 2 places. So that's a big.
Really fallen into Terry Olsen's lap.
Yeah.
Because now his arch rivals for the championship behind him.
Right.
Papadopoulos in front, but it's only entered 2 races or 2 rounds. This is his 2nd round in the championship, so he can take that win quite easily. And Terry Olsen will say, "Thank you very much. I'll take all my points that I can get and stay in front of the Miller and John Field." Jordan Missick still in the lead of the Pro 1500 class.
There is our first place man. We caught up with him in 7 minutes to go.
So now we've got full course caution out.
Yeah. So that's going to change everything because there is a truck on track and a safety truck, that is, to pick up, or a tow truck. So again, we're going to have a bit of a sprint. And as you can see, there is that recovery truck. Now, they should stay behind him, right, until he gets to where he needs to be?
Well, they in theory, under a white flag, you are allowed to pass, but I think that's looks like the safety car, doesn't it? So
that is the safety car, yeah.
So we've picked up a safety car. Of course, that recovery truck going out to collect someone. There's Eric. So Eric Wagner's actually pulled off.
Yeah.
He looks like he's in a safe position, so that's really upsetting for him in Turn 3 Motorsports. They did a tremendous job in qualifying on the pole in that class, and of course now he's given up the race lead in that class to Chris Camp, who's leading that championship. Chris Kemp's had a fantastic run. If you need to find Chris Kemp's car, it's easy. He's got the Scream painted onto the front of that car. So a famous painting, a great art car livery on that car.
Well, let's just regroup. Alex Papadopoulos just right behind the safety car, still leads this race, but now Terry Olsen is ahead of Judd Miller. That's the most important factor to remember. Miller's got it all to do at the restart. John Field, who had been second the whole time, is now fourth. Jordan Messick is in fifth place.
Absolutely, and then it's Steve Jenks, followed by Gerhard Watzinger. So that's the top three in the Pro 1500 class. Then we're back to Indial Miller, who of course made contact with Mel Johnson earlier in the race at turn 7. Then it's Greg Gorski in the Smoke Buddy 24 machine, followed by Nick Pearson. Fantastic job by the young local. Great job for him. He's 10th overall at the moment. Then we're back to a series stalwart, Jim Booth. And the 63 machine for Wisco Racing, Conrad Park in that closed cockpit coupe. And he's a Masters class car. And then back through the field, it's Zach Ping, Ryan Kelly, Ryan Bjerke, Jeff Ping. So father and son separated by only a couple of cars. And then we're Eric Wagner, of course, is still showing there on the timing screen, but I don't know if that's caught up yet with Chris Kemp. I suspect he'll go over and leapfrog him. So perhaps timing scoring just waiting to catch up there.
So we are under caution. The clock ticks down though in our Rattle Cup North America, our first race of the day. Tom Drewer and Jonathan Green bringing you the action from Road Atlanta. And we live stream it around the world. We hope you're enjoying it. And plenty of action all day today. But this has been a cracking race with 2 cautions so far, 2 major incidents. And the second one, the one we're at the moment, involving the leaders. And sadly, John Field losing out big time and dropping to 4th place. But it's not over by any means. And, well, I know you've been watching all season, Tom. Who's good at restarts?
Well, my money's on the young guns, mate.
Okay.
So I think Alex seems to be able to turn his tyres on pretty well. Jordan Missick's done an awesome job in those first out laps, and I suspect if we do get a green-white checker, Missick will be really, really quick. Of course, this gives everyone an opportunity, though, and so the real question will be, what can those around him do? Can Steve Jenks get a good run? Is Gerhard Watzinger going to have it? Our Millers will be right behind there as well. And of course at the front of the field, could Terry Olsen capitalise on this restart if we are lucky enough to go green again?
And of course we've got another race yet today, so the picture is far from clear yet, is it?
That's right. So in terms of those points, we'll have to do some math after this one. It's certainly, I think, favouring the guys that on top of the chart, if you like. So Terry Olsen leading the Masters Class Championship. Indial Miller leading the Pro 1500 Class Championship. Chris Kemp with the maximum points in Pro 1340.
Now the question is, will the lights go off on that safety car and will he come in? At the moment the lights are still on.
Yeah. Now
so will we finish under safety, do you think?
We may do. Terry Olsen there was making a lot of gesturing in his car down the back straight. I don't know whether he was saying, look, I want to get going, I want to get racing, I want to finish this here on a high and with a win. But I suspect the checkered flag is out.
So it is out. So that's the checkered flag. And that means that we have a winner in Alex Papadopoulos, because he's done it and there just isn't time to do another lap. And, well, Olsen's got his fist in the air in appreciation of the fact that he's got the second place and that Judd Miller sadly could do nothing about it. I would have thought Judd's going to be a bit upset because that was a race that was won and lost all on that incident.
Absolutely, and the other one, of course, is John Field. He's going to be really upset because...
Well, he was an innocent bystander, wasn't he?
He was, and Field was closest in points to Terry Olsen, so Olsen now that lead over those other guys. That sort of worked in Olsen's favour very, very well. Congratulations, though, to Jordan Missig, too.
Yes.
A great win in Pro 1500.
He'll be pleased with that, won't he?
He will be, and I think Steve Jenks will be happy with another podium. Rookie this year and extremely quick and coming away with more silverware. Gerhard Watzinger, congratulations for another podium for him. And then in terms of 1340s, it looks like Eric Wagner, and I have to check this out because it looks like Eric Wagner's still classified. Oh, it's Jeff Ping who's taken the win in that class. So Jeff Ping's taken the win from Eric Wagner and then Chris Kemp.
So their confirmation of Alex Papadopoulos taking the win over Terry Olsen in second place. These are all Masters men. Judd Miller in third. And then John Field, sadly, in fourth place. In Pro 1, Jordan Missig, as you rightly point out, is the winner. Steve Jenks behind him in sixth. Gerhard Watzinger in seventh. Indy Al Miller in eighth. And Greg Gorski and Nick Pearson rounding out the top 10. We'll take a short break here at Road Atlanta, and we'll be back with more after this.
Everywhere I look, I see light and shape. And some shapes are just more beautiful than others.
I think about lots of things when I drive. The cost of scheduled maintenance certainly isn't one of them.
The F-Pace.
How Jaguar makes an SUV.
For great offers, visit your Jaguar retailer during the Impeccable Timing sales event.
A marathon coach owner is someone who expects exploration and relaxation to blend flawlessly. For the most reliable, luxurious motor coach on the market today, look no further than Marathon Coach. Indulge that wanderlust, leave any cares behind, and lead a life filled with adventure. Join the Marathon family and take your 5-star hotel with you.
Welcome back to Road Atlanta as we look high above the famous S's here. A glorious sight here and the site of so many victory and non-victory. And it was the case here again today, sadly. Certainly for John Field and Judd Miller, who were looking forward to a big race. Now, as we look down high and above the Road Atlanta circuit, we've got a really nice story. We had a great story at COTA about a father and son combination. That was the Brabhams. Now it's the Seds. Boris Sed has produced another Boris Sed racer. He's Boris Sed Jr. We got a closer look. What a weekend. What a motorsport. Boris Sed takes victory at the Circuit of the Americas. Well, Boris, after a lifetime of probably listening about your father's career and being around it, you're taking the plunge. You're having to go yourself.
I mean, about 2 years ago, I just decided I wanted to start go-kart racing, and now I'm here. Decided I wanted to do it one day.
Now, is the old man a help or a hindrance? He knows what he's doing, but does he want to help you, or does he just want to leave you alone?
He's pretty helpful. Like I think he kind of knows what he's talking about.
I was excited because, you know, it's something that I love to do, and so it's cool that he loves to do it, and I never really pushed him to it. You know, early on when he was born, I think I bought him a dirt bike when he was like 3 months old, and my wife was like, "You're a little early," and you know, and it looked like he didn't want to do stuff like that for a long time, and then all of a sudden one day, I want a dirt bike, and we were dirt biking.
I've always been racing dirt bikes, and about 2 years ago, I just decided I wanted to try outdoor go-karting, and yeah. I don't really know why, I just decided I wanted to try.
And he tried it and loved it, so you know, I know since I got bit by the bug, I can see it in somebody when they get bit by the bug. And, you know, he's definitely got a lot of talent, and he definitely has a passion for it. So, you know, we're having a lot of fun doing it together.
I mean, he sort of just like, he didn't force me into it, or he didn't like push me away from me. He sort of said, you know, if you want to do it, you can. But he's definitely like supportive and helpful about it. This is my second time ever on track. About 2 weeks ago, I did a test day at Buttonville in California, and thanks to Tony Perella, he rented me a car, and here I am just doing this race weekend here for SVRA.
So can I get a world exclusive and say that there is another Boris Sed on the way for American racing?
There is another Boris Sed on the way for American racing.
What a great story, and we wish him well. Boris Said Jr., just 16 years of age, but following in the footsteps, and interestingly enough, Boris Said's father was also a Formula One driver. So there's definitely in the DNA, you can't deny it. Well, as we look high and above this Road Atlanta circuit, we are about to go muscle car racing. We'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll be getting ready for the first big race of the day when it comes to Trans Am.
Getting the most out of your Classic can mean many things. That's why Heacock Classic Insurance is excited to sponsor the Trans Am Race Series. In addition to events, we have proudly provided insurance for race cars, classic cars, and exotic cars since 1989. Heacock Classic is known for its famous agreed-upon value, where brokers and clients find common ground on coverage. So make sure to get your quote today. Follow us at #HeacockDriven.
Hey race fans, it's the start of a brand new decade, so don't be on the outside looking in. Straddle the technology fence with us and be part of all the action at every round of the 2020 season. With our all-new app, you'll now have live global streaming of all the action from the heart of each and every track. Live scoring, race highlights, replays, results and team and driver news. Everything you could ever want to be informed of the world of Trans Am and SVRA. Download now on Apple and Android, the only place to get your muscle car media. Welcome back to Road Atlanta, a beautiful day here in Georgia as we look down on the SVRA paddock and also the Trans Am paddock. And it's Trans Am that we turn our attention to now because we are moments away from the start of the first TA and GTs racing. But let's look back first of all at what happened in qualifying for these classes. There was drama in qualifying for the TA series when Ernie Francis Jr., the championship leader, dropped oil on the track on the very first lap. And that put him out of contention and back to the pits. A half-hour delay then ensued while they cleared up the oil. And when we finally got underway, there was an almighty battle between Boris Said in the Weaver Racing Dodge Challenger, Chris Dyson in the plaid Ford Mustang, and the new man, Martin Ragginger of Austria, in the Chevrolet Camaro. They battled it out throughout qualifying, and in the end, Boris Said didn't get the best of laps and finished third place overall, having won the last race at COTA. Second place, though, went to Chris Dyson, and he just missed out on pole position when Martin Ragginger put in a brilliant pole position to take the Chevrolet Camaro to pole position in his first run in the 2020 season with a 119.567. Qualifying for the GT classes of Trans Am was just as exciting as the rest, as ex-GT championship leader Kent Thwaites took his Audi R8 to another pole position at 125.898, and he'll be pole and ready to take the championship come Sunday. The battle in SGT was just as hotly fought, though, as Justin Oakes from Houston, Texas, pipped Lee Saunders, the championship leader in SGT, in his Dodge Viper to pole position. So Justin Oakes will start pole, and in GT, it'll be Billy Griffin who starts pole position, and he only has to finish the race to win the title. Welcome back to Road Atlanta. We are covering the SVRA and Trans Am series as well as the Radical Cup. We've had some great racing so far. We look high above from the drone, and we are now looking towards our first major Trans Am race, and that is TR and GTs. And we'll head down to our man of the moment, Ben Sissel, who's down there in the thick of it as always, getting ready for the first major Trans Am race. Ben, over to you.
So excited to be here, Johnny. And today we have a guy that seemingly came out of nowhere so fast he got pole in the TA class. Martin, where in the world did you come from?
I'm coming from Austria, Salzburg. And yeah, I'm excited to be back here in the Trans Am series.
Now, Claudio has been talking about all your accomplishments over in Europe with the Porsche factory team. Tell us who you are and why are you so fast?
Yeah, I was a long time in the Red Bull Junior team. Then I became Porsche Junior, and since then I'm racing on Porsche cars. And once in a while, Claudio gives me the opportunity to drive those beasts, and I have to say I didn't enjoy anything more than that.
Nice. Claudio, thank you. This is going to be fun. Have fun. He's racing out in the Jen Amadei Burton Camaro. Well, let's come to Chris Dyson, who's second. Chris, we haven't gotten to speak to you much. How are you feeling about Road Atlanta?
Well, I love being down here. I'm thrilled that the series was able to put this together as a doubleheader. I think it's going to be fantastic racing. Obviously, we got a great grid here. I think anybody really in the top 8 can probably pull this off, and I think it's going to be a hell of a fight. We've had some good success here in the past as a team and personally, and I'm hopeful we can put another one on the roster today.
Nice.
And just want to say hi to my family at home watching.
Nice. I love it. Chris Dyson, have fun out there. Chris is always fast here. He's had some rough luck here. Okay. And now we've got Boris said. Boris is in the car. Boris Jr. sporting the Boris Fro. He's out here racing with this weekend in a Miata. And then Boris is out here, Pancho Weaver. But we got to come to Dreesy. Dreesy, if you'll come to me. Dreesy currently second in class right now in the championship. Ernie had a problem, so what's your strategy?
Go win, try to win the race, you know. Ernie's done a great job all year being more consistent, and he got those wins under his belt. We got one win, and, you know, he's just done a good job. And so, you know, hopefully we can solidify second place, which is not bad. And look at the field here. I mean, this is, I know Ernie's back there, but, I mean, we got 5, 6 cars that can win this race. Yeah. Got the best of the best here. So
we really do. So we're talking about Marty up there in first. Were you like, where in the world did this guy come from?
Oh, we know where he came from. He's, you know, factory driver. He's been doing this since he was a kid, and we were, you know, he was pushing me, so we were like within a few tenths of each other. Yesterday, you know, I think he just took a little more risk where the oil area was. It didn't quite clean up, and I kind of let it get in my head. So, but you know what? It's 40 laps of mayhem, just 10 tenths, and this Lucas Oil Slick Miss Camaro Burton Racing is ready to go.
Nice. And I hear that we're going to hear from you, right? Yeah. When you go out, I think that we're going to talk to you on the radio, right?
Yeah. You guys ask me what you want to know and stuff, and we'll be in the car. You'll be riding with me in the car. So to all the fans and everybody, thank you so much.
Nice. I love it. And you give us great insight, as does Terry St. Martin. Justin Marks. Here, Tony, let's come over here. We've got a new guy with the light. Sorry about that.
Are you talking to Tony on the radio during the race?
Yeah. So, Justin, we talked a little bit. We actually live really close to each other. Yeah. But you're now back in TA. You were so fast at COTA in, I think, 2018. Tell me about this TA platform.
Yeah, I think it's one of the coolest race cars on the planet. It's just so much horsepower and a lot of tire and grip and everything. So they're really fun to drive. I wish I could do it more. It's my first time in the car in a few years. And we're working on getting this thing sorted. We still got some stuff we got to work on this weekend. So hopefully we made a good change for this race, and then we can keep improving on it for tomorrow's race. But I'm excited to be here in the series. And like I said, these cars are just so fun to drive.
So excited about the Music City Grand Prix. Tell us a little bit about that and your involvement in that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a group in Nashville that have been working really, really hard for a few years to bring this IndyCar weekend to the great city of Nashville. I'm excited to be an investor in it and be a part of it. Really excited to have the Trans Am Series there. I think it's going to really resonate with the fans. It's going to be really fun for them to watch. So yeah, I think it's going to be an awesome event. I think it's going to grow to being one of the great motorsport events in North America. Nashville's it's Music City, USA, and it's the greatest event town in America. So to bring a car race right downtown is just going to be a real special event.
It is. And one more, Tony, if you don't mind. So we have a lot of NASCAR fans that watch us. Tell us about what we can look for in the NASCAR series with Justin Marks next year.
Yeah, I'm excited that we announced the formation of Trackhouse Racing Team next year, the 99 Chevy Camaro, Daniel Suarez, and it's a big project. I'm a big believer in NASCAR's vision for the future with their new car and a lot of the other things they're doing with the schedule and everything. So felt like it was a good time to come in. It's always something I've wanted to do. We've got a great operational partner in Richard Childress Racing and Chevrolet, and so it's going to be fun. It's a lot of work, but we'll be on the grid for the Daytona 500 in February, and I'm super pumped about that.
Nice. Justin Marks, good luck out there. Look for him to move up front. He's super fast. We're going to try to talk to our series owner, Tony Perella, who's actually talking to one of his favorite drivers in her McNichols Corvette. Tony being a Corvette guy, of course he loves that. But he's talking to two-time champion Amy Ruman. But Tony, tell us about this TA series at this beautiful track.
Well, first of all, just to be here with all that's going on in the country, what a privilege to go racing. The teams and the drivers have been safe with social distancing and wearing masks. We got perfect weather. Who'd have thought in the week before Thanksgiving that you get 70 degrees and sunny in Atlanta? So it must be that we're supposed to come together. We were supposed to be here back in April, and you know, with all that was going on, we rescheduled, and I just couldn't be happier. And to see these ground pounders come out, it's such a fan favorite. This is what drew me to racing as a kid. You know, I'm embarrassed to tell you how many years ago I went to a race in 1969 at Watkins Glen. I don't think anybody that old's still alive. But I watched, you know, a Parnelli Jones race, and I was hooked when my dad took me. And who'd have thought this many years later I'd be this involved with Trans Am. It's just a privilege.
Now, the depth of talent in this TA and the GT classes is unbelievable. And then being that this is our last event of 2020, and it's a double header with our current points leader back there, six-time champion Ernie Francis, and Tommy right behind him. What can we expect today?
This is going to get real interesting. Ernie blew a motor yesterday in qualifying, so he's got to start at the back of the pack. And he's always fast, so you're going to see a lot of passing trying to get up. You got Amy, two-time winner, just incredible. But
let's pause a second for beautiful music as it goes by with our international GT class on the SpeedTour. But I want to just go with one more with Tony. Tony, I've been talking to you a lot during this COVID, during the off season. You have put together a fantastic 2021 schedule. How in the world did you do that?
Well, we've been really blessed. I've built great relationships with all the major speedways around the country. We have such a neat option for teams to go back to back. I think the most important one is to go to Sonoma and Laguna back to back, being on track, you know, 8 days and 10 days or whatever it is. It's, you know, we added Charlotte to go with Road Atlanta. We got Homestead with Sebring. So we're trying to make it where the fans can go to 2 races within 100 miles of each other and really make it a vacation around road racing at these great tracks. And we're just, we're really fortunate to even be here. So many series struggled to get through the year, and we did, but we got through the year. We got a real championship in. This weekend settles it out for all the grapes. And just thrilled. Yeah. Just thrilled.
Unbelievable schedule. You got to check out the schedule. Did we want to talk to Amy? Amy, can I speak to you real quick?
Look how fashionable she looks.
I know. She looks good. Amy, two-time champion. Can you hold the mic for me and tell me about Road Atlanta?
Road Atlanta is a great classic track. We've had a lot of success here. It's where I scored my first Trans Am win in 2011. And then we part of our championship runs in 2015 and 2016. We won here as well. I've had several podiums throughout the years, and it's just one of the classic iconic tracks in the United States, and everyone loves it. There's a lot of challenges here. The downhill S's, the downhill coming onto the front straight. You got to be on point. You got to pay attention. You got to be consistent around this track. It's fast. Only taken us 1:20 to get around, and so it's definitely a fun and challenging race course.
So one thing I love about Amy, we're going to stay with Amy, but we got to talk about McNichols and her sponsorship and how long they've been with this beautiful red Corvette. But McNichols, they're now a staple in the Trans Am series, sponsoring you and really supporting you. So tell us what McNichols does and how they can help the community.
McNichols is a perforated metal-based company. They've been with us for over 20 years. They've sponsored my father. They sponsored us. They love Trans Am. They know where it's at. They love the sprint format of the race. So check out McNichols.com for all your metals needs. And just really support. They have several locations throughout the U.S., like 15 or something. So they have support across the United States. And I also got to give a shout out to Corner Tech, CNC Solutions that came on this year with us, and they're based out of Tampa as well. And so we appreciate any support y'all can give our sponsors that support this series.
Nice. I love it. Amy Ruman, two-time champion in her McNichols Chevrolet Corvette. Thanks, Amy. Let's try to come down here to Jeff Hinkle because I don't see Simon Gregg right now. Jeff Hinkle in this beautiful number 9. It's almost the color of the General Lee. You had a bad shunt at VIR early on in the race, and I've been watching you on social media. How in the world did you put this thing back together?
Well, it ended up that it wasn't as bad as it looked. It was really mostly body work that we had to replace, and body work's pretty easy. And so this time my wife was telling me, why'd you put the car gray last time? We can't see it on the track. It's like the asphalt. And I said, okay, I'll show you. And so we went with a Dodge Challenger standard color, this Go Man Go, and I think it turned out pretty nice.
Nice. I love it. Thank you for being here. Well, give us a little insight on Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta.
Yeah, so this is my home track. I've got well over 1,000 laps here. You know, you can lose a lot of time in 3, the S's, and 5. Everybody's typically good on the back straight because it's kind of like VIR. It's just a big, giant drag track down through there. And then a lot of people that are first-timers here get scared coming under the bridge, but you just got to keep it matted there. And there's a little lift there where you feel like the car is going to wiggle you around, and a lot of people lift. It just takes a long time to hold it there, and that can make a big difference as well.
Nice.
Yep.
Jeff Hinkle, good luck out there. Beautiful car. It reminds me of the General Lee, like I said, and we have a General Lee car up at our car show up there. We've got Kerry Hitt. If you don't mind, show him this beautiful car as I tell a story. We were just at Circuit of the Americas 2 weeks ago, and as we were leaving, my claim to fame, now he was driving the semi, I was in my little truck and trailer, Kerry was driving the speed limit, but I did pass in my car a Trans Am legend of Kerry Hitt somewhere on the highway in Arkansas. Kerry, I know that you've run Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta quite a bit. What's your strategy here?
Well, we seem to be down on horsepower by quite a bit, and I'm not sure. So I guess the strategy is to drive as hard as we can through the corners and then hope for the best. It's going to be a good race, and it can't ask for any better weather. It's just gorgeous. Love Atlanta, love Road Atlanta. Love to be here, and it's just a fun track.
I love it. Thank you. Kerry Hitt, I love it, man. You're my hero. Kerry Hitt out here in this beautiful Cadillac. And then we got to come to really the story. Hey, Ernie, will you stand here? 6-time champion, running for a 7th championship in Trans Am in TA. And yesterday, basically on the outlap, catastrophic engine failure. What you guys had to work through the night to put this together. Tell me about the team and the effort it took.
Yeah, no, everybody pulled together and did a great job. I really can't thank everybody enough for my team. They did an awesome job getting this thing back together. We had it running by 10 o'clock last night, started at around 6 o'clock, so really not long to get this thing swapped over and ready to go. Probably just going to hang around in the back of this race, just get whatever points we can, lock up the championship, and then see how it goes for tomorrow's race.
So mathematically, what do you need to do?
Probably just start and finish the race. I think the guys that are behind us would have to have a perfect race, lead every lap, get fastest lap, and win the race. Don't think that's going to happen. At the same time, we'd have to be dead last, so we'll see what happens out here.
Nice. Hey, Breathless team, nice hustle. Good stuff. They were here late last night as we watched Michelle Abadi come and give Ken Twaits a high five. Ken, if you'll stand here, if you'll get, stand with me right here, Ken. He's going to get your beautiful car because, first of all, Tony, you got to get a shot of this. I give Ken a hard time. This looks like a Concours winning paint job on this car. It's beautiful, but he races so hard. Yeah, exactly. You can see him in it. Currently, the points leader. I think you've wrapped up the championship in XGT. How's it feel to be at Road Atlanta?
It feels great to be at Road Atlanta at the end of November, and it's 70 degrees out. It's just been beautiful the whole time we're here.
This XGT class, I really feel like, is going to blow up in 2021. Tell us what cars qualify, and how do you encourage people to get in the class and race with you?
Well, the whole thing started because there's a lot of GT3 cars out there that are older, and there's really no place to race. So this is a perfect class for you. You run 100 miles, an hour and 10 minutes. It's a real test of your ability. So it's just a fun place to race. The Trans Am paddock is amazing. Everybody's friends. The Trans Am group is awesome. Thank you to Tony Perella and John Claggett for making it happen.
So in the last race at Circuit of the Americas, these XGT cars had the advantage over these big TA cars. Do you see that here after turn 3 to turn 5? Are you going to be a little bit faster?
Well, the S's, you know, we're pretty equal to the Trans Am cars, but once they get to the straightaway, they're long gone. So, you know, hopefully I won't see one of those guys until they're lapping me.
Nice. I love it. Ken Twaits, another guy from Tennessee here with us this weekend. Good stuff. Oh, and look at this. Looks like we might have a little bit of drama. Might have to come talk to, hey, put this on for me if you don't mind. Talk to Lee Saunders' crew here. Beautiful engine of the Viper. So what's going on? Because currently he's our points leader in SGT. What's going on?
Just making sure everything's good to go, you know?
Oh, so that's just a check. That's everything looks good? Everything looks good in there? All right, I'm going to come talk to your driver. Lee, this is one of my favorite stories, and the closest in the championship battles between he and Adrian. You guys are bitter enemies and rivals on the track. Off the track, it seems like you guys get on great.
Yeah, Adrian and his crew just fantastic guys. You know, we got to know him a little bit last year, but this year we've become really good friends. He's just a fantastic guy. Couldn't ask for anything better than a competitor. Always super fair, always willing to help us. I mean, he'd probably give us a motor out of his car, and just great. I mean, it's been a great season, a lot of fun. I wish Adrian the best. Obviously, we want to win it, but yeah, on the track we're not going to give either one of us is going to give the other guy an inch, but off the track we'd do anything to help each other out.
Nice.
Thank
What
you.
is the point spread between you two?
So I think it's 6 points currently, so super tight. Both of us have had some trials and tribulations this year. He had some problems early on that let me expend the points lead out, and then of course we had back-to-back problems with the second race at VIR and COTA, so that put us super close. So yeah, it's going to be a nail biter down to the end.
Nice. I love it. I love the nail biters. I need to ask your crew. I just knocked your mirror. I want to make sure your mirror's still in a good place. Hey, can you check his mirror? I knocked his mirror pretty good. Sorry about that. Beautiful. All right, so we got to come over here. Another car that looks like a Concours winning show car. The Fast Auto Adrian Lostowski car. Adrian, what's your strategy now? It's going to have to be all out, isn't it?
Yep, our back's against the wall, so we're like in a position that we have to beat Lee. So we're going to have fun. We're going to do what we can and see what happens.
Now, if you remember, Tony, at Brainerd, he had to bring a car all the way from New York, underpowered, crazy-sized tires, and he did that just to stay in the points hunt. And now all that hard work with his crew really paid off because he's right there in the points hunt.
Yeah, that was definitely paid off now. I mean, we're in a hunt. We're 6 points behind going into today's race, so we're definitely happy we brought that car over from Brainerd. And now it's going to come down to these next 2 races.
Nice. Adrian Lostowski, good luck. Good stuff.
So, thank you, Ben. Really good stuff. And as always, doing it in superb style. Talking to everybody that will talk to him, smashing mirrors up, getting the inside story. But the truth of the matter is, we've got so much up for grabs. And with Ernie Francis Jr. having that problem with the motor yesterday, that's just thrown it all wide open. And Tommy Dreesy's in a really interesting position now. So, really looking forward to how this race is going to pan out. Remember, this is a doubleheader. And what I mean by that is they're going to race today and then again tomorrow. But tomorrow's race will be a whole different kettle of fish, as they say back in my place, because tomorrow will be a 5-class all classes race, which means they'll include the TA2 race as well as all the classes you're watching right now. So that's a massive race with very different cars, very different speeds, different overtaking opportunities. So really, really interesting. So as we get ready for what should be a cracking race, like I said, we're going to try and see if we can talk to Tommy when he heads out. Looking down. That's the pre-grid that we were just talking to, or talking to the cars as they get ready. We've just had the finish of the International GT race, and so there'll be a slight pause before they let them all out again. But they will then do a pace car lap, and of course it's a rolling start. And that's going to be important here, given that tight first corner and then in the uphill. This man we're definitely keeping an eye on, the number 17. This is Martin Ragginger of Austria, and he has pretty much raced everything there is to race. He's a very, very well thought after drive. He raced in the Porsche Carrera Asia. That's where I remember. He never won the championship. He was runner-up a couple of times, but really, really good. And he was a Porsche factory driver at the time. So this is a guy that has been there, done that, got the T-shirt, but wants to race in Trans Am. And we hear this story time and time again. And his battle in qualifying with this man, Chris Dyson, who will be on board with, was fantastic. I thought Dyson had got the pole position yesterday, but Martin just put in one flying lap right at the end when he had a clear track and took it. So really impressive. But also, you can't count out this man. Boris said in the Weaver Racing Concepts car, you can't miss that Dayglow yellow, can you? And the mighty Boris said, who has, again, another man who has raced everything, and really looking forward to seeing him race. And Boris, of course, won at the Circuit of the Americas last time out, and we're very keen to see what he can do here. I'm also going to welcome into the commentary booth a man who I'm delighted to see because he's going to be in action later today. His name is Mike Skeen, and he's pole position for his race as we look at onboards with Tommy Dreesy. You're going to get a really inside view here, Mike, of what it's all like watching you guys race. Welcome aboard, and first of all, what are your thoughts on this kind of battle, scenario, given that Ernie's had such a rotten start to it all?
Yeah, absolutely. It was unfortunate to see Ernie have the trouble in the qualifying session yesterday, especially so early on. But, it's going to be exciting watching him come through the field and have the battle. I'm sure he'll get to the front at some point, especially if we get the help of some yellows. But certainly the guys at the front, Tommy included, are going to have a great battle on their own. And, of course, we've got multi-classes here that we're going to see battling amongst themselves, so it'll all be exciting.
Well, as you can see, Jet Nolan, there's another man getting ready to go racing as well. What I like about the field, that's Justin Marks we were looking at there, and Jet Nolan's coming up later, but Justin Marks coming in for the first time and looking forward to this. How about yourself, Mike? How are you looking? I mean, you had a great qualifying session last night, and it was in tough conditions because it was cooler, and we had a bit of a delay because of that oil spill, but how you set?
Yeah, I think we're looking good. All the practice sessions this week, we've been up front, and obviously we had great pace yesterday. It was a little bit tricky late in the evening, very low light, and having a shortened session. It was pretty exciting to go out there. We tried to get it done really quick, really early, go out fast, and try to get a lap in because we knew it was going to be problematic if we had anybody go off or anything, so we wanted to get a lap in early. Unfortunately, that meant we came around and had some traffic for all the fast guys coming through the back of the pack, but everybody got time in. We had a little bit more gap than I expected to, but very excited to start today on pole. Gives us the best opportunity to stay safe on the start, get through turn one clean.
How's your season been? It's been phenomenal. You've led all the way, but you obviously chose to come back to Trans Am. You obviously like it. Has it been everything you hoped it would be?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, a bizarre season that nobody expected coming into it. With the pandemic has caused a lot of change in the schedule and whatnot, but the series has done a fantastic job of adapting and creating a great schedule for us. Still lots of races. Unfortunately, we don't get to go to Laguna Seca in a couple weeks to finish it out, but this is a great place and fantastic weather so far this week to do that, to finish out the season, and hopefully we can have a nice clean race, both races today and tomorrow, and get a lot of green flag action in for the fans to watch.
So I was watching practice and the sun was down and great light, but I was at turn 5 and it seems like everybody had different setups. There were some people that were super loose. Do you feel like you've got your setup right for the 4 o'clock race?
Yeah, I think we're going to be really good. Obviously, should be pretty similar to conditions to our practice and qualifying sessions. The light is going to be really tricky, actually probably worse for the race today than it was for qualifying. The sun had already kind of gone down, so we weren't getting the sun in our eyes like the earlier sessions. You know, the TA guys yesterday were fighting it a lot in theirs, in their quali session. But yeah, I think it should be really good. I think we've got a great car. You know, we're always tweaking on it. We're never happy, so we're going to make changes all the way through, try to make the best of it. But yeah, we're looking really good.
So it seems like, to me, the TA2 championship is yours to lose right now. But I want to talk about this TA platform. You've got a lot of experience in these, what I call 850-plus horsepower monsters. How do you explain this TA platform to your friends?
Yeah, it's awesome. You know, the drivetrains are basically a NASCAR Cup Series drivetrain, tons of horsepower, and very simple in practice, but lower car or the TA2 car, so they've got great handling as well for what they are. You know, big meaty tires, lots of mechanical grip, and they're just a blast to drive. These are some of my favorite cars ever. I really enjoy it when I get a chance to race one or do some data laps or whatever in one. They're just a blast. So, you know, the top speeds around here probably 180 miles an hour for the fast guys in the backstretch, and you don't see that anywhere else. Any other cars doing those kind of speeds on a road course.
So this whole SpeedTour concept that we have, I see you everywhere. You're coaching some radicals this weekend. I think at Mid-Ohio, your dad was racing with us in the vintage side on a 2002 BMW. You're out here in TA2, but then when we were loading in, you're hanging out at the Drivers Club of Road Atlanta, and it seems like you're just everywhere. We actually have Adam Seculo coming in here later with us in this broadcast talking about his new Drivers Club. But tell us about your experience in these, and you just seem to be everywhere.
Yeah, you know, I try to get out as much as I can. The seat time certainly doesn't help, but also I like to coach a lot of guys and offer some expertise and help setting up their equipment and getting the best laps in that they can get out of the car. You know, so during the test days leading up to the weekend, a lot of times I find myself in a couple different cars doing those data laps, kind of setting a baseline for the guys to chase throughout the week and help, you know, give a little bit of feedback on their setups. Work with Ken Thwaites a lot in his Audi and XGT, and Mark Drummond I know very well in his BMW M4. I've raced that a bit with him also, and like you said, the Radical Cup and a few other guys running an IGT and other series and other classes this weekend.
So we're going to go to Johnny right now because we're going to get to talk to Tommy Dreese, currently second in TA. And then after we hear from him, I want to hear what you like to hear in your radio.
Yes, I think Mike's come at the perfect time. You're listening to the words of Mike Skeen, our championship leader in TA2. Ben Sissel is alongside me, Jonathan Green. We're on board with Tommy Dreese right there. And when he heads out, I'm going to ask him a question or two. And here's Eric letting them go. Martin Raginger is going to lead the field to the grid. What a beautiful sound. There is no better sound in motor racing than the sound of Trans Am roaring into life. This is our TA championship, and as well as TA, there is XGT, SGT, GT, and feature all in this race. Now, let's try something different. Let's see if we can talk to Tommy Dreese live here at Road Atlanta. Tommy Dreese, this is Jonathan Green in commentary. Do you copy?
I copy loud and clear. I copy loud and clear, guys.
Well, Tommy, best of luck. May the best man win, but you're in a good position. You've got a teammate up ahead of you, and you've got obviously Ernie at the back. What's the plan?
What's the plan? Get through turn one. We got 40 laps, 100 miles. So if they go to work, flick them off and put the pressure on everybody.
What, if any, concern have you got? You were fast yesterday, you didn't get the pole, so you didn't get the points, but do you feel competitive?
Yeah, yesterday was a tough deal for me. You know, I let that oil kind of get in my head, and I just didn't want to take a risk. So, you know, we've never performed here. We got such a great field. There's 5, 6 smart people that can hit this race. You got Martin, Dyson, Boris, Mark, and Ernie's coming from the back. So we got a heck of a race ahead of us.
What about your tactics? I mean, obviously with all the classes tomorrow, you've got more chance of doing some overtaking and some passing today. We may have lost Tommy there.
Well, at this point, honestly, Jonathan, he's probably trying to get some stuff. But how cool was that to hear from such a legend? So, Mike Skeen, now that we have you here, what are you wanting to hear from your team at this point? Are they trying to calm you down, or do you want to be quiet?
Yeah, once we are leading up to the green, it's most important for me to, just focus on what I'm doing. I don't need a whole lot of information before we go green. But as soon as we go, I want a little bit of help spotting if there's any guys making a dive bomb move or anything, making sure that we leave some room and can get through the field clean. And then once we get going, kind of settle into a pace, we want to keep an eye on the gaps ahead and behind to make sure the cars are running smooth. And I give a little bit of feedback kind of on how the car feels just for notes for the next race and that sort of thing. But yeah, especially today, we want to have an idea of where the points are, where Rafa is in our race. And, I'm sure Tommy wants to know where Ernie's going to be, how he's coming through the field, whether he needs to watch his mirrors for anything.
Mike, we've got another lap. Why don't we take you or give us an insight into a sort of systems check? We just heard Tommy on the radio. You'd be doing something similar. But what is your process here? Obviously, we always talk as commentators, but we're not racers. We talk about you heating the tires up. We talk about systems check. You just heard him say, checking the radio. And also thinking tactically. But what's going through your mind at this point?
Yeah, the biggest thing, like you said, is making sure you get really good temperature in the tires and brakes. It sounds pretty straightforward, but sometimes easier said than done. Fortunately, the race now is getting just late enough. The tires, the temperature, the ambient, the track temp's going up. So some of the practice sessions early in the week where we were going out to very cold temperatures, but very critical to heat the front and rear tires at a fairly consistent base. You don't want to have your rear tires really hot from accelerating and then no front tire grip or temperature. So important to get all ends of the car working really well. Make sure that the car feels like it's turning well. You can kind of get a little bit of a feel for that by we're swerving back and forth. You can see the guys going around on their laps doing that, checking the feel for the grip at the apex and how the car is going to work. And you want to make sure that you're getting a couple kind of simulated starts, accelerating in first or second gear to get a feel for how the rear tires are gripping, if you're going to get wheel spin on the start. And it's an especially tricky thing here at Road Atlanta because the restart zone or the start zone is coming down a hill and through turn 12, and so you're not straight like you are on most race starts. And so it can be a very tricky thing, especially with 850 horsepower, to get the power down through a corner right when everybody says go. And sometimes that can see some drama too, with the inside lane being a little bit more difficult to get the power down, and so the outside will get a good drive.
And even the best can make mistakes. George Russell in Formula One the other week at Imola, they was just warming the tires up and he just put too much power down in his Formula One car in the Williams and went off track. And he was so embarrassed, but it can happen, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We saw some guys just the other day leaving the grid for straight out of pit road, lost it, not in Trans Am, but one of the other race groups here this weekend. So it's easy to do and unfortunate and embarrassing, but, it happens.
So, Mike, as they're coming down here, they're going to go green under the bridge, but I want to hear from you. So Jonathan's going to call the first little bit, but if you see something in the cars or the setup, you just call it out because you know what we're looking at better than we do.
Sure.
All right, Mike Skeen alongside myself and Ben Sissler as we get ready. They come through 10A. The lights are off on the safety car. It's TA, XGT, SGT, and GT racing for our finale weekend. This is the first race of two. And Martin Raginger, in his first race back to Trans Am in a while, will lead the group, and alongside him, and Chris Dyson is off to the races now. Did he jump the start, or has he got just a really good start? We'll find out. Tommy Dreesy's away well in third. Boris said fourth. Amy Ruman follows him through in the Corvette. Then it's Marks, and Ernie Francis Jr. crosses the line right at the back, but he's going very slowly indeed. I'm not sure what's happened there. And here comes the start of the XGT class, led by the all-black number 5 of Ken Thwaites. Lee Saunders right there as well. But strange start, Ben and Mike, and problems for Lostorski as well. Something was coming out of the back of Lostorski's car. But the lead now with 40 laps to go and a long way to go in this race is with Chris Dyson. Your thoughts, guys, on the start of the race?
Yeah, just like we talked about ahead of time, this is a very tricky place to get that start, and the outside lane working for Chris Dyson, got the power down, just being a little bit more straight, and was able to clear into turn one and take the lead. As you mentioned, Ernie very slow on the start. Looks like still maybe a problem for that crew after working late hours trying to get it back up to speed. And then Ken Thwaites taking a nice clean jump in the XGT, leading us out to turn one.
Do you think Chris could be in trouble, or was that a clean start, do you think?
I think it looked like a clean start. They
Okay,
both
good.
seemed to jump at the same time, but just being on the outside made it a little bit easier to get the power down.
So high above the Atlanta circuit as we go back on board with Chris Dyson leading this race as he turns into turn one. Ragginger just behind him. Raggy as he's known. And this is going to be a mighty, mighty man to take on. And don't forget, Boris said right there, 4th position in the Dodge Challenger, winner of the last race. He and Poncho Weaver have been preparing that car, and they love racing at Road Atlanta.
Well, actually, I'll tell you, I'll add a little drama to this. When I was at the grid, Raggy, who sat pole, actually asked one of the Trans Am officials which side he wanted to go to, because he said, which way do you want to be split? And he said, what's the best line? So he may have been told incorrectly.
Ha ha! That's an interesting one. Now, what's going on with Lostowski here at the rear end of the car?
Yeah, we're seeing a little fluid come off. I'm guessing it's probably from the fuel tank being right up to the brim and maybe a little bit of fuel coming out of the vent tube.
So not a problem.
Yeah, hopefully not. If it doesn't clear out in a lap or two, we may see a meatball flag or something from the officials. We also see Ernie down to pit lane.
Pit lane is Ernie Francis is coming into the pit lane. He's just come out of the corner of my eye. And that's bad news for both the championship and the Breathless Racing team. Ernie Francis Jr., who has a good, solid lead, I may add, but this is not what he wanted from today. He wanted to change that motor and have a quiet race, and he's parked up in pit lane. Meanwhile, the battle's going on there. Just got a quick
You have experience in this car that we're in here with Ken Thwaites. Explain this car.
Yeah, this is a great car. This is a 2015-ish Audi R8 GT3 Ultra. A very quick car. I ran one in World Challenge, very similar to this. And like you said, I've been working with Ken all year long and a little bit last year as well, doing data laps, helping them set up this car, get it really ready to go. And it looks like he's doing a great job, already leading by a couple seconds in XGT ahead of the next car. The Corvette looks like Oates.
Now, Martin Ragginger definitely getting very close to Chris Dyson as they dive through 6. Third place is Tommy Dreesy, Amy Ruman holding her own. And through goes the 99 of Justin Marks coming back to Trans Am. He's had a few runs in Trans Am, but he's obviously a very capable driver. Looking forward to this race. You spoke to him earlier and looked confident about getting a good result. We are on board with now Tommy Dreesy down the back straight at flat out 180 in full acceleration. Now, how close is Martin to the back of Chris Dyson? As close as you like. Dyson cannot relax.
Maybe looking at 1 for Raggy to get by him. I don't know if he's closed the gap enough for that. But I did see that Dreesy hit 183 going into 10A, that's moving.
Chris Dyson looked down. I don't know what he was looking at there, but anyway, as he heads up the hill, it's first and second, battling it out as we go back on board over the crest. It's a great moment to see that blind crest because you really don't know what's on the other side. Not that you're expecting anything, but this section, Mike, is one of the most exciting in racing.
Yeah, absolutely. Very fast and very high commitment, but very little room for mistake. Very quick and lots of elevation change with concrete walls just off the side. Yeah, we see Chris looking down again. Wouldn't surprise me if he's trying to make a sway bar adjustment or a brake bias adjustment. These first couple laps of the race, you're kind of feeling out how the ar feels. You probably made a couple little final setup tweaks before the start of the race, and you're trying to make the most of it with the heavy fuel load and get the car to your liking.
And the conditions are very different from qualifying yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. Much earlier in the day, a lot more sun on the track, probably more surface temperature. So the car's going to be handling a little bit different, and they're trying to make the most of it so that he can hold off Martin behind him.
Good news for Ernie Francis, France. He's out back on circuit. There he is in the 98, the One South Florida car doing the business, having pitted. So whatever the problem was, they've either rectified it or he's going out to do a shakedown lap and see if he can rectify it on his own. So plenty of drama already, but at the moment, in second place, Martin Ragginger of Austria trying to chase down Chris Dyson, who leads this race from the start. Tommy Dreesy right where he needs to be in third place, taking points away. He's the man who can stop Ernie Francis Jr. from winning this championship. No sign yet of Boris Said really showing. He's in 4th position at the moment, and Amy Ruman just behind him, then Justin Marks in 6th place. Now, back markers already, and this is a chance for Raginger to maybe do something here, because Chris Dyson wants to get past the number 86 as quickly as he can, and between that gap between 6 and 7, he's done just that. So too has Martin, though. And down the back straight, both of them come. But can that be an opportunity now into 10? Dreesy's now past the back marker as well, but he's got quite a gap now to catch up. And I think he'll let this play out. It's a long race yet.
Chris looked like he did a pretty good job there parking Martin next to the lap car as they went into turn 7.
Yeah.
So Chris got a good drive off 7. You can see he's not under threat going into 10A on this lap. But certainly Martin is right there, knows he has lots of time to work on Chris here. And as they go through all this traffic, it's going to be a constant game of cat and mouse trying to figure out the best way around. Lots of pressure now from Martin, looking to the inside into turn 1.
Oh, now there's a chance, though, for Raginger, and he comes on side by side into turn 1, but the door is closed quite heavily by the 20 plaid Mustang of Chris Dyson. Nicely done, totally fair, but that is good racing. But these back markers are really coming into play now as Martin Raginger all over, getting slightly ragged as he gets on in pursuit of Chris Dyson. This is a really important part of the race.
Yeah, and Mike, you've got a ton of experience racing in these multi-class races with huge speed differentials. But let's be honest, do you like the TA2 where they're all kind of on the same platform, or do you like this multi-class racing?
I like both. You know, the TA2 stuff is extremely fun because the depth of the field is so big. You know, there's always somebody in your class. But when we mixed it up at VIR class like we're going to see tomorrow, that was a lot of fun for me. You know, coming from a lot of mixed class racing background, it really adds another element to where you have to kind of strategize and figure out how to get through all this different traffic. Because, you know, a lot of these cars have different strengths and weaknesses. Some of these XGT and SGT cars are faster than the TA cars rolling through the middle of the corner, but they don't have the horsepower. So as a TA driver, you have to kind of have that in mind, that you can't always pass in the middle of the corner. You have to set it up for getting down the straightaway.
The drone really giving us a good insight into who's next, where the next cars are they've got to face. So we're getting a better insight than the drivers at this point in terms of the gaps. I mean, they're aware of it, of course, but we can really see that gap, and it's something that really has just really given us an insight in the last couple of years. The drones coming into play here, especially live. Back on board with Dreesy down a hill towards the S's. Heading downhill, accelerating in 3rd gear, but not too much, I may add, because as Mike pointed out, you can easily get it wrong here, hitting a curb and bouncing out. This is critical out of 5. But the race continues between these two. A great start from Chris Dyson, and he knew he needed to do something special, did Chris Dyson, because qualifying was nip and tuck between the pair of them, and he knew that he'd had to pass early, and he's done just that.
I just got word from race control that Ernie Francis Jr., currently our points leader, has some clutch problems, and he may be off in 1. And I just saw safety vehicle right there coming out with the lights on. I'm not sure if we can get a shot of that at turn 1, but we may have some problems with Ernie Francis Jr. with the clutch. And that's not something you can just fix during a race.
No, and with 34 laps to go, there's a long, long way to go in this race, and that might just give a rethink to some of the contenders for the different classes. But as you say, lights on the safety car, or at least the recovery vehicle, I should add, as Ken Thwaites under big pressure at the moment. Ken Thwaites in his big battle here with Justin Oakes. Lee Saunders just behind them as we go back on board with Ken, heading towards turn 6. Oakes looking for a way past.
Yeah, this is an interesting battle. Obviously not in class together. Ken Thwaites leading XGT and our championship leader, the SGT Corvette behind him of Oaks. Very different cars. The heavier downforce on the Audi, maybe a little bit more straight line with the Corvette capability. So it'll be interesting to see if they can hold them off on the straight line here.
We're looking at Ernie Sr. right now, probably talking to Ernie Jr., really trying to figure out what's going on. He gave me kind of a points breakdown of mathematically what needs to happen after qualifying yesterday. But he looks like he's under duress.
It looks to me, looking down towards turn 1 pit out, they're trying to pull Ernie's car backwards into pit lane to get it out of the way. Not a good sign for him finishing today.
Yeah, they are. Looks as though they're dragging it back, which is why the race continues, because actually at this stage, with no pit stops as a sort of as a norm, And even though he's blocking the exit to pit lane at the moment, I don't think it's a problem. So they should get him out of the way. The race continues, and that's good news for all of us, as Kent Waits dives over the top of the crest with Justin Oakes in close pursuit. Wow, it's all going on here. The championship on the line, the championship leader out of contention and out of the race. No points will be scored. So mathematically, it's just got even harder for him. But there he is. You can see it for yourself now.
And Dreesy, who can mathematically catch him, is currently in third. But there's a great fight up front with Dyson and Raggy. But it looks like Dyson, I don't know if he used traffic, but was able to get some space between first and second.
And here's Lee Saunders, of course, who's battling to try to win the SGT class, so he's not really worried about what Justin Oakes does, and he got the pole, did Justin last night, but obviously Lee Saunders more concerned about where Adrian Lostowski is, and Lostowski is in 16th place, Saunders currently 13th overall. 32 laps to go and plenty more drama to come. We're listening to Mike Skeen, who'll be in action later today, leading in the 77 Liqui Moly car as he goes in pursuit of a title himself in 2020. He's led all the way, and we're looking forward to seeing him battling against Rafa Mattis. We go back on board with Chris Dyson.
Chris is starting to pull a little bit of a gap here, getting a little bit of breathing room over Martin as we see him go into turn one. I would say about 10 car lengths ahead at the moment, so he's starting to feel like the pressure's a little bit off. Hopefully he can settle into a rhythm here, keep the tires and brakes under him, as the car's going to change quite a bit over this race distance. I'm sure now he's hoping that this stays green. We don't see the yellows because he doesn't want to see that gap close back up.
Now, we always hear the drivers refer to this as a 100-mile sprint race, which sounds crazy. But at this point, do you start to calm down, or is it just adrenaline the whole time?
Yeah, you have to calm down a little bit. It's certainly adrenaline all the time when you're in the car, but you have to keep your head under you and, like we said, save the equipment. Even though it's a sprint race, if you're going 10/10 all the time with all this horsepower, you can use up those rear tires. And generally around Road Atlanta, we're going to see a little bit of a trend towards oversteer late in the run where the back of the car is going to lose a little bit of grip. And so we want to save those rear tires as best we can, make sure if we do get any yellows late in the race that we can have a little bit of a pace to fight, when the gaps close up.
Well, we just saw a sight we don't see often in TA. We saw Ernie Francis coming back into the paddock.
I know.
That looks catastrophic.
It's a real shame,
sorry.
isn't it? As Boris said, coming down towards turn 10. And coming back up the hill now, car number 26.
Lou Gelati.
Yes.
And
who had a good run last time out at home in Texas.
Yeah, he had a really bad wreck at the VIR with us. I was surprised to see him at COTA, and here he is again, running in that ultra-fast Corvette of his.
And as Mike pointed out, Dyson putting in a couple of good laps to get the gap to just over a second. So it's calmed down just physically between those two as we go back on board with Tommy. He's been a little quieter than usual this morning, but that's okay. There's Boris said, you can't miss him on a quiet night. I'm so glad to get him out of retirement because he was quite happy doing his BMW championship. And Poncho said, I'm building a car for you. And he went, okay, I'll race it. It's a good combo, isn't it?
Is it difficult for you to go from a paddle shift GT car into an 800 horsepower go-kart, basically?
The paddle shifting or, the H-pattern shifter becomes something that's kind of secondary and background and becomes just habit.
Well, Race Control have confirmed that 98, that's Ernie Francis Jr., has retired. That clutch problem, that clutch issue has played its role, and he is out of the first race. He'll get one more crack at it. And now, coming through the back markers, and the traffic's starting to build up. There's Boris said in TA. These are the GT cars that are getting through. Billy Griffin still leading in the 14. And Griffin only needs to finish the races this weekend, and he's got the title. Greasy now behind, it looks like Kent Waits. So two different classes as they head down towards 5.
Looks like we also just got a change in position in SGT. Mark Brumman and Adrian Lostowski battling back and forth. Currently, Adrian taking 4th position in SGT.
And Mark Brumman, I gotta brag on him a little bit. He's racing with us this weekend in a vintage Alpha with SVRA. He's running his BMW in SGT, and then Scott Lagasse said, hey, you want to drive my TA2 car? So now he's also in TA2 for the first time, and he's doing really well.
Wow, that's a busy weekend.
It is.
Yeah, Mark's a good guy. A good friend of mine from Charlotte, North Carolina. He's all about his racing. Anytime he can get in some race cars, he's all about it, and excited to see him here doing a lot of seat time, a lot of laps. A little bit maybe outgunned with his BMW this weekend in SGT, but it's going to be exciting to watch him in TA2 as he learns that car also.
An update with the leaders as we look at Dreesy's pit. Chris Dyson and Martin Ragginger very close indeed as we go back on board with Dreesy as he pops by the Cadillac. But it's 0.9, so the one thing that Martin Ragginger is not doing is letting Dyson go. Dyson built up a second 0.1 lead a moment ago, but it has down to 0.9 again.
Also back in SGT, Justin Oaks had a slow lap on that one. I'm not sure if he had an issue. He's dropped back near Lee Saunders. It's going to be interesting to see how that battle plays out.
Oh, no! Aaron Pierce goes bang. The man in 17th overall and 6th in SGT. And let's hope he doesn't pour oil all over the circuit. He's got offline.
Oh, and Dyson.
No! Dyson spun!
Dyson
Through goes Dreesy.
Between 6 and 7, it looks
Boris
like.
Boris going through on Drummond. And, wow, did he spin at 6?
I think so. It looks like he spun at the exit at 6.
Looks like he must have a mechanical issue because he's slow.
As Aaron Pierce comes into the pits.
I wonder if there was oil coming from that car that maybe
Possibly.
he comes to the pits.
Yeah, because that's where he would have been.
Yeah.
As we see now,
he's got a puncture by the sounds of things.
Should be the leader, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Dyson will be coming in. They come down to 10. He's under.
I'm guessing
the
these
gearbox
might be
is working. You can see him going through the gears, but I think it's a puncture.
Yeah, I would guess these are probably separate incidents. Maybe it looks like Chris had a problem of his own, unless going over the curb has caused the puncture.
Well, in he comes, the SGT, and he's out of the car and done already. He knows it's game over, does.
As Dyson comes into the pits,
Aaron Pierce.
he's going to be so frustrated about that. He was really running well.
It's just not been his year, has it? He got one great result at Road America, and since then it's all just gone pear-shaped.
I'm hearing that there's liquid all down the pits as Dyson pulls in right now. So it's all gone crazy out here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, Jonathan.
So as we stand, Martin Ragginger of Austria, in his first race back to Trans Am in quite some time, is leading the race from Tommy Dreesy, who is now in the box seat to get major points on Ernie Francis Jr., who is out. Chris Dyson is also in trouble, as you can see.
Looks like they may have thrown a belt. The Dyson guy is going immediately to the hood. Well, looks like a belt in hand of one of the crew members on the Dyson Racing team. So they're checking either probably a power steering or maybe an oil pump belt. But he did drive it a ways back, so it's going to be interesting to see if that thing is still alive.
We're still under green right now.
We are, and there's your leader.
Our scoring shows Martin Raggi first, Tommy Dreesy second, Boris Said third, Justin Marks, Amy Ruman, Chris Dyson is still in 6th place, followed by Jeff Hinkle, Simon Gray, Richard Grant, Kerry Hitt in TA, then Ken Twaits in XGT. Justin Oaks is leading Lou Gelati in SGT, then Lee Saunders third, Adrian Lostowski fourth, Mark Brumman fifth, Kerry Grant, Milton Grant, Aaron Pierce, and then Billy Griffin in GT. Dan Schlickenmeyer in GT, and then Ernie Francis Jr. is out. What a crazy race.
Yeah, and Ragginger going through the traffic. He's got to be careful here. He's scything his way through, quite rightly, but he's also got to make sure that the marshals are doing their job, because if the slower cars don't see him, he could put himself in a precarious situation. But we're back on board with Dreesy. Let's see how far behind he is as he comes into 10 next time out.
Looks like we must have gotten away with this one. It doesn't seem like any oil has gone down in the track, as we haven't seen anybody going off in the 10A brake zone as of yet. So that probably means, as we see Dreesy going in there on the normal racing line, we'll probably have a good racing surface still. Hopefully this will stay yellow.
Here's a question for you boys. What does Martin Ragginger do? Does he play team, or does he go for a win? Because he could help Dreesy get more points.
Depends on what Claudio wants him to do, but knowing Claudio, he wants him to race. Claudio's a racer. I don't think there's going to be team orders there.
Well,
as we saw Aaron Pierce just distraught after getting out of his car.
I talked to Martin last night, and I said, were you trying to tactically help Tommy get the pole, and he said, no tactics, I'm here to race. So I think that told me, and you know the Austrians, they don't mince their words.
Hey, we just got a guest in our booth. We've got Adam Seculo, one of the owners of the driving club at Road Atlanta, and I'm going to leave it up to you guys. Ask him some questions. Adam and I go way back. We used to work together at a law firm, and now here we both are somehow in racing. Adam, here, take my headset.
All right, well, all sorts of drama going on. Chris Dyson, his heart is beating hard, and he is sat there in neutral. You can see wiping his brow there, waiting. The worst part for any racing driver. Mike, I got to get you in here. This has got to be just, I mean, your heart's beating, your adrenaline's going, and you've been going 150 miles an hour, and now you're stuck, sat there.
Yeah, for sure. This is gut-wrenching. You're just watching the guys, hoping something will get found. They can make a repair and get you back out there, but as we said, this is a sprint race. If you come to the pits, it's basically over. So even if they get it out at this point, it's just to score a few points, try to salvage something, and maybe learn a little bit of something for the race tomorrow as well. But you're just sitting there, heart in your stomach, because you know that it's all over as far as getting any sort of finishing position that you want. And not to mention, after the airflow quits, you're just sitting there baking in a nice hot car.
Adam, we wanted drama, but we got it, didn't we?
Definitely so. This is it's always exciting to see. I have a lot of members out here racing, so it's always good to see that there's good racing happening, and hopefully none of my members end up in it. That's half the battle here.
There's been some great races. They opened this circuit back in 1970, and of course it's the home of Petit Le Mans, but I always think, when I think of that race, and now with these races, especially looking ahead to tomorrow, this is not an easy track to overtake, or am I wrong there? 10 is the obvious. We've seen people making dive bombs at 7. There is a possibility at 6. Is there more?
Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, it is the roller coaster of the South.
Yeah.
It has a lot of elevation change that people don't realize till you get here. And then actually once you start walking the track, as Mike has done probably hundreds of times, you really start noticing elevation change. There are a lot of passing zones here, but especially the backstretch, you have a long way to go, and then especially breaking into 10A and the 10B complex. But turn 12 can be a passing zone for a lot of people, turn 1. And then really after that, if you get a good run off of 5, Mike, definitely going into 6 can also be a good passing.
Yeah, absolutely. There are some good passing zones, but track with lots of fast sweepers, and so it becomes difficult in that section from turn 1 to 5. If you get stuck behind a slower car, you can lose a lot of time, and we see that at Petit Le Mans also with the difference between the GT and the prototype classes. It's kind of similar here with the closing speeds. If you find yourself in a
Chris Dyson's fired up and going. Mike, I'll let you listen to the sound of the engine or the sound of the car, see if it sounds about A-OK to you.
So far seems okay, but obviously he's trying to stay out of the way as he rejoins the track. He knows he's out of it. You see him looking down, maybe not all okay. Still not quite up to speed.
Well, if it wasn't for bad luck, he wouldn't have any in 2020, but it's just been one of those years. I think 2020 is a write-off for a lot of people, not just in motor racing, but in life. And as I talked to Ernie Francis last night, he said, well, that's 2020, isn't it? Of course my motor's going to blow on the first lap of qualifying. Oh, that was a good overtake coming into 12. Just as went past our commentary position. So Chris Dyson gladly is back out, but he's a long way back. But meanwhile, the battle for the win is between the Burton team members, and that, of course, is Martin Ragginger and Tommy Dreesy. Now, Tommy Dreesy's got the most to gain by winning this race, but we think that Martin's going to just give it a go and take his own victory because, as you know, Ernie Francis Jr. will score nil point out of this race. So, at least Chris Dyson's car sounds okay.
Yeah, it seems like it's running okay now. We saw him let Amy Ruman go, who's now running inside the top 5. Good points for her today as well. Right behind Justin Marks and Boris said.
There's Amy Ruman in the 23 McNichols car. We spoke to her before the race. Took her first win here at Road Atlanta in 2011, and she's a double champion as we look at Justin Marks. Justin is also not just racing for fun, he's also advertising the Nashville TA2 race, and we spoke to him about that very exciting news that TA2 will be on the Indy card for the Nashville street race. Scott Borchetta and the Big Machine Vodka team also heavily involved in doing that. So we are very excited to be part of this prestigious brand new event. and that bodes well for the expansion of a new track, even though it's a street circuit, but a new city, and a great city too. I'm from Austin, and I know that having Austin on a calendar with motor racing is just great for the fans because it's just a great city, and Nashville, I'm sure, fits in exactly the same way.
So, Adam, we were talking earlier about some of the test days leading up to this event that we've been playing on, and one of those was the Driving Club Road Atlanta day on Wednesday, where I was working with Shannon Herford, one of your members, in a Porsche. Tell us a little bit about those days. That was my first time at one of those club days, but certainly lots of opportunity for guys to come out here, enjoy the track, see what this is all about.
So we're at the Driving Club at Road Atlanta. So we offer about 15 to 16 private days a year, and members can run kind of whatever they want to bring. So we got members that have Trans Am cars. We got members that have IGT cars like Shannon and his GT3R, a lot of Cup cars, and then all the way down to Spec Miata. So it's kind of a good variety, as you saw on Wednesday. We do run in run groups, so you're not out there, you're not in a Spec Miata being run down by these TA cars, on the back stretch.
Guys, don't want to interrupt, but Chris Dyson has just pulled off into pit lane and into the paddock. It's game over, sadly, for the plaid number 20. That Mustang will be not. It's going back to the stable, I'm afraid, and Dyson is out of this race. Carry on.
We're also looking at now a battle shaping up between Tommy Dreese and Boris Said for the second position. Certainly Tommy wants to score all the points out of this day and gain a big lead on Ernie Francis, as he's had some trouble today.
Well, let's go down. We've talked about the tactics with Burton Racing. Claudio Burton is down in the pit lane. Let's find out exactly what the plan is. Let's head down to the pit lane.
Are there any team orders, Claudio?
No, there's no team orders here. The best car's going to win, and the best driver's going to win today.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Pretty simple answer there, straight from the horse's
that's
mouth.
Perfect.
That's exactly what we want to hear as well. It's exciting to see a battle all out right for the top position. Certainly Martin, traveling all the way over here, wanted to come here for a win, so if he's in it for that, he's going to want to take home the trophy. Certainly Tommy is going to score good points here in second with Ernie having trouble. Hopefully he can hold on, but we're seeing this battle shaping up really well with Boris Said.
So as we stand at the moment, 46 minutes have elapsed, and we have Martin Raginger leading the way for Chevrolet Camaro. Tommy Dreese in second place, and Boris Said all over the back of him. Boris Said looking for a way past. Justin Marks in fourth place, Amy Rubin in fifth, and Jeff Hinkle now up to sixth place ahead of Simon Gregg seventh. Richard Grant is up to eighth position. Is there going to be one more twist? We've had plenty so far, and the question is, can Dreese hold off Boris? If I know Boris Said he's not going to care about the championship, it's not his problem.
No, he just wants to win, and I actually spoke to Boris. First time I've ever heard him say, I'm going to take it easy the first half of the race, and then he says balls to the wall for the second half.
There you go.
And we're kind of getting there right now. And then I also expect Justin Marks, after he's this platform, but he's a very good driver. I saw him win a crazy race at Mid-Ohio in NASCAR in the pouring rain, and just a couple of years ago, so we know he's a good road racer. He won the 24 Hours of Daytona. But look at Dreese coming through here. I actually have a special guest joining us, Jonathan. He watched our race from Circuit of the Americas in Afghanistan. He was here this weekend to race with us in SGT. I call him G-Luck, and I invited him. He unfortunately had an off in one of the practices, so I invited him to come and comment with us and tell us what he does in real life, because I didn't want to get it wrong. So, Brian, welcome to the broadcast.
Well, I'm happy to be here. I kind of wish I was racing, but Turn 7 had a different event for me this weekend.
And Turn 7 is treacherous. Tell us what happened and what car you were in.
Well, I was in the Factory 5 Racing GTM, which is a mid-engine LS6 powered, kind of a Corvette on steroids. And the Factory 5 guys have been really good helping us get the car prepped and to come play in Trans Am. We were club racers before. Turn 7, I just didn't let my tires get warm enough and put the rear wheel off on the curbing, got on the gas, and spun it into the inside wall. But it's all rebuildable.
So there aren't many Americans that take their vacations in Afghanistan. So tell us what in the world you were doing there and what you do in real life.
Well, in real life, I'm an intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance pilot for the Department of Defense. So I was over there. I'd been in Africa just before that, in Kenya and Syria, and then this last trip was in Afghanistan for 60 days. And we work with the U.S. military and help do the intelligence looking for bad guys.
Nice, looking for bad guys. Not a bad guy right there. Simon Gregg in that beautiful red, white, and blue Camaro.
That's a beautiful
Camaro. That is a cool car. It really is. So
well, guys, I can confirm, sorry, I just want to interrupt and confirm it was power steering for Chris Dyson, which has changed the complexion again of this race. Ernie Francis Jr. going out early. Martin Ragginger still out front and got a good lead now over Tommy Dreese. Still under pressure from Boris Said as the clock ticks down.
So you were telling me all about your car. We were speaking the other night. It's a beautiful car, but you have what we call a reverse sponsorship on your car. Tell us about that.
We do. We've done a reverse sponsorship with the Wounded Warrior program. We've been helping them out since they started. So for the last 15 years of racing, we raise money and give it to them instead of taking money for them. We'll also bring our car to the Veterans Administration, some of the VA facilities, meet with other veterans. I'm a disabled veteran myself, so we're kind of showing other veterans that life's not over after you get injured, that you can come back, you can still fly airplanes, you can drive race cars. You can do a lot of things. So we'll use the car to do that, and we'll meet with young soldiers like at Fort Benning pretty regular, and some of the other bases where they invite us.
A little bit more information about some of the other battles going on. Ken Thwaite still leading the way in XGT over Justin Oakes. Well, so Justin Oakes is in SGT, but Ken Thwaite's leading the way. Lee Saunders holding off Lostowski at the moment, and that's an important battle as they battle for the SGT title. Just 6 points between those two going into this race as we look at Amy Ruman.
We just got word that Richard Grant pulled into the pits, and like we said, it's usually catastrophic when they have to come into the pits. Beautiful Corvette right there of Amy Ruman, followed by Adrian Lostowski. If we could get a shot in the GT class coming into turn one pretty soon, the number 37 of Dan Schlickenmeyer, he is kind of your teammate, and this is what I love about our paddock here at SpeedTour. You never know what these guys do in real life. He was a Top Gun pilot, like in the movie, and then he became a Top Gun instructor. What's it like to race with him?
That's correct. Me and Slick for about 25 years. We traveled together. We ran in American V8 Supercars and SCCA, and Dan's a great guy. He's a pilot's pilot. Been flying for years. Flew for FedEx and retired from there. But Top Gun instructor and just a great driver.
So now you guys are living the dream, road racing with the Trans Am Series. I love it.
It's a huge dream for us. You know, we all grew up watching Pernelli Jones and Boris Said and everybody racing, and to have a chance and be welcomed by the Trans Am community to come out and race. They've made it real easy for club racers to kind of step up and dip their toes into the Trans Am water.
Will we see you in 2021?
You will, absolutely. We're going to try to make 3 or 4 events in 2021. We've got G-Lock Brakes helping us out, Linarc with welding equipment, Dyna Technica here in Atlanta, and Factory 5, of course, stepping up really big to help us, and Maverick Excavations. They're a small company, but they're helping us. So they're all coming on board so we can live the dream of road racing when we're not out flying.
Nice. Brian, you, sir, are an American hero. Thank you so much. I can't wait to see you in 2021. Thanks for joining us. I'm sorry about your luck.
We'll see you in 21, and come out and fly with us. We've got a couple of Warbirds in Georgia, and we'll take you up and do a little aerobatics and a little flying.
Sounds good to me.
I will definitely do that. Thanks,
Talking
man.
of flying
Absolutely.
at the moment, the
Thanks,
DroneWorks
guys.
Chevrolet Corvette of Justin Oakes from Houston, Texas, who joined the championship last time out just a couple of weeks ago at Road America, and he is leading at the moment in SGT. Coming down the DroneWorks car, beautiful paint scheme. Tommy Dreese now behind him. And now the gap between Tommy Dreese and Boris Said has widened dramatically. Now, a moment ago, or a couple of minutes ago when we started this conversation, Boris Said was all over the back of Dreese, but now he's back right off, and completely different battle now.
What are you seeing, Mike?
Yeah, it's been interesting. I'm not exactly sure what's going on with Boris there in the gap. Maybe he's just caught a couple unlucky laps in traffic, or maybe he started to push and felt like the tires were starting to go off already.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it's one or the other. Ragginger crossing the line again, and he's kept the pace up.
Dreese got squirrely into 12.
Yeah, making a tight move there through traffic, getting down to the apex at 12. Pretty tight. but I'm sure he had to woe it up a little bit to get the car to rotate around the apex there.
I thought I saw something hanging off the edge of Lou Gelati's car. Listen to Dreesy.
No talking, please. They're talking to Tommy, and he doesn't want any interruption at the moment, and I'm certainly not going to try to talk to him at this point.
He's in the zone. He was talking to Terry St. Martin in the headset, and he said, no talking, please. So you know that he's just trying to get in a rhythm.
Yeah.
As the SGT cars go by us, Mark Drummond's back up into fourth and putting pressure on Lee Saunders for the third position. We might see that BMW up on the podium yet.
Yeah, you know what is deceptive? You mentioned that sort of 100-mile sprint lap race. 14 laps to go. That's a long way in any race. Just when you're starting to think, okay, I'm in a good position here, sometimes you can kind of lull yourself into a sense of achievement before it's over, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Even when we do these longer 12-hour, 24-hour races in other series, the actual stints are much shorter distance, as we see a pretty close call there between Dreesy and Ken Thwaites in the XGT leading Audi. But as I was saying, these races are longer than the average fuel stint or tire stint on a longer race. So despite this being kind of a short total distance, it's a long time on those tires, lots of fuel. You're carrying a lot of weight with all that extra fuel. These cars go through a lot, and so 28 gallons of fuel in a TA car, and as that burns off, that's a huge balance shift as that weight from the rear axle goes away.
Yeah, big time.
And we're seeing the great shot there from turn one of the gap between Marty Raginger, Tommy Dreesy, and Boris Said. Beautiful car that Pancho Weaver built for Boris Said.
Yeah, those are spectacular. I've driven actually the sister car to this, a monster livery car that he drove a few years ago in Trans Am. Is now under another ownership.
Oh no, a spin here for GT.
Looks like a TA car or
that's
a
John
GT
Bauckham
car sitting there in 10A.
Normally, John Bauckham races in TA with us in a yellow and green Mustang, but here he is out there just having fun in a GT spun at 10A.
Not sure if maybe he got any help there with traffic going through, or if he did that on his own, but it looks like we've gotten away with it. And there we go with our SGT battle. Mark Drummond just a few car lengths behind the Viper of Lee Saunders.
Yeah, I spoke to Lee yesterday. He was quietly confident. I mean, you knew the gap was going to be tight between him and Lostowski, but the Viper's good in a straight line. We always say that, but it's a long, long straight down here, and so here out of 5 to 6 is also a decent run, and the Viper can let that big old engine at the front there help Lee Saunders from Florida. And I asked him about the championship, and he said that it would be a lifelong dream. He grew up watching Trans Am, and while he's in the production GT classes of Trans Am, as we look at Pancho Weaver looking rather nervous, it would be a big moment for Lee Saunders to win this title.
It would. Lee is a great driver, and like we said, the relationship between he and Adrian is fantastic. I love the camaraderie, the bitter rivalry on track, but the camaraderie off track, and that's basically throughout the whole Trans Am family.
As we know, and as Ben said earlier in the week when we were talking about this points battle, Mark Drummond could be a spoiler because he's not in the points battle, but he's been up there running up front in the few races that he... BMW is probably a little bit better on the tires than that Viper. I've driven the GT3 version of the Viper, and that could always really kill the rear tires because it has so much torque. You've got to manage the power, especially off the slow corners like 10AB and turn 7 here at Road Atlanta. So maybe that race car is starting to go off a little bit, and Mark's going to try to take advantage with his BMW.
Just been told that Race Control are investigating the Cary Grant, Lou Gigliotti coming together, side-by-side contact, to see if there was any unfair play in that. So we'll keep an eye on that.
Boris is closing the gap on Tommy Dreesy. And it's really been fun to watch Mark Drummond. He's really using the curbs. Lee seems to be trying to go around the track a little bit more gingerly than Mark, and it looks like maybe Mark has taken the faster approach.
As Mark takes a little bit of a look there at turn 7, decides not the right time for it. Hopefully he doesn't lose too much ground getting a bad run onto the back straightaway, but we see the gap kind of opening up, that Viper stretching its legs a little bit, but Mark is starting to put the pressure on. Looks like a TA car coming through the two of them now. See if he clears the Viper by 10.
Well, at the moment, Martin Raginger is controlling this race. The gap 9.5 seconds as we come down to the last 10 laps, as we take a good look at Adrian Lostowski. It's been a good year for Adrian. He got his first win. I think it was at Brainerd, and since then he's looked really good.
Yeah, he's always a really fast driver, really well-prepared car with this fast auto car. had great showing at the VIR and at Circuit of the Americas, making this points thing really close. And it's going to come down to the next, actually this, 11 laps to go, and then tomorrow's race with the mixed group.
Yeah, Adrian must have had some trouble in that Mustang. We saw him battling up with Mark Drummond earlier and up ahead of him, and now he's dropped back quite. Missed something with that car. He's been, as you said, a great driver this year. Good to watch and getting good support from Hawk Brakes. That fast auto as Mustang has been up there. It's good to see cars like that, kind of grassroots level effort at getting out here and taking and participating in the Trans Am Series.
Well, guys, we have 10 laps to go in what I would consider a drama-filled race. But right now, knock on wood, no full course cautions.
Yeah,
that's
no,
rare.
You said it now. Yeah, as we wind down a little bit, we get a chance to focus on some other battles. I don't think there's going to be any action for car number 6. If they do anything, they're going to review it by video afterwards. So he's going to stay where he is on track as we continue to look at Lostowski.
Looks like that car is getting around there just fine now.
Yeah.
That was the car that we were looking at, the fuel coming out early on. Hopefully that's not an issue with their fuel mileage, their range. Obviously, with this race going green all the way so far, they've been burning a lot of fuel. Maybe they're watching the fuel level on that thing saying, you got to save a little bit to make the end of it. We don't know.
Well, so far, Boris said is staying the strategy. It's coming down 10 laps to go. We're about to be 9 laps to go here as we watch Martin come around turn 12 under the bridge over the stripe. And now 9 laps to go, and Boris has turned on the heat like he said he would late in the race on Tommy Dreese. Currently, Boris is in 3rd, Dreese 2nd.
There's Cary Grant, and it's pretty impressive that you've got Milton Grant out there and Richard Grant all in the same race. I don't think we've ever seen that in another series. 3 of the same family.
Yep. Yeah, it's fun to watch. And they race in different classes so that they don't put each other into the wall, they said.
So who's the faster?
Usually Richard, because he's in a TA car.
Well, fair enough. No, I meant generally, though, as a peddler. 9 laps to go in the first feature race of the weekend. This is our doubleheader from Road Atlanta. You're watching Trans Am presented by Pirelli, and we are having a fun day in the sun of November, believe it or not, wherever you're tuning in around the world. Yes, we've cheated winter, and we have a beautiful day here at Road Atlanta. And it's been like this all weekend, to be honest. We were supposed to come here in March. That's our traditional month to come here. But because of the pandemic, we obviously got postponed then, and we came back here in November. And I take my hat off to the organisers. They've done a hell of a job to get us to this point as we go back on board with Tommy Dreese. Running out of time and laps to win this race, but he's going to get some valuable points on Ernie Francis Jr., and I hope we do get a big finale tomorrow between these two, because the gap should be down to probably just over, I don't know, under 20 points, do you think?
Yeah, and Burton Racing right here. This is our home track out of Atlanta.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like there's any team orders, which is true Claudio Burton style. He just loves racing. As we look at our leader right now, racing in the Gin Amadei
Yeah, I was
Chevy
asking
Camaro.
Martin about that. That's his father's company, and they're introducing both gin and vodka spirits here into the United States. So watch this space.
Yeah, love it. And there he goes, proven that he is a very fast driver. He's had lots of great races in Europe and loves this TA class. Very different from the Porsche Cup cars he's used to driving.
There's Justin Oaks going into turn 1, putting a lap on P5 in SGT. He's really dominating this race.
Yeah.
Only his 2nd ever pro race, I believe, if that's right. He ran with us at COTA with a little help from driver coach Jason Hart, good buddy of mine. Certainly a good.
What's he been racing
speed.
then if this is only his 2nd?
Yeah, I don't know his complete history. I know he's fairly new to even doing track days, maybe just a couple years of experience, but certainly a great car here, a beautifully prepared Corvette, and doing a really good job with his DroneWorks C6 Corvette.
Very good job,
Yeah, he kind of came out of nowhere and really showed us what he's got at Circuit of the Americas. And Jason Hart, who's raced with us in the Trans Am Series, really good instructor, Texas area.
We've got a guy called Franklin Frutrell in your race, who's not come out of nowhere, but it's his first Trans Am race, and he's going to be taking you on. So that's a good story too.
Yeah, it's exciting to see some newcomers. I've known Franklin for a long time, Skip Barber instructor here at Road Atlanta, and so lots of experience around here, and I knew he would be quick coming into it. It'll be exciting to race door-to-door with him later this afternoon.
Something I'm really noticing, we're looking at the hill, turn 12, which just looks so scary, but the TA cars are really starting to get squirrely. Are they getting light in the rear end, or are they losing tires?
Probably a little of both.
Yeah.
As you come through here in a TA car, it's not quite flat all the way down the hill, but big speed, probably 130 miles an hour at the apex. And as those tires start to go away, the car wants to push out towards that track out curb, and it's like a funnel as you come down the hill. Real wide, and then comes down to a pretty narrow line at the apex, not very far to go with it, so trying to keep it all in line can be tricky.
So, Jonathan, I just got word, this is kind of funny. You can't take racers out of the competition, but Ryan Eversley wants to join us now in the commentator's booth for the TA2 race because he wants to outdo his buddy commentating, Mike Skeen. So now there's a competition to who's the best commentator.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm not even going to say anything on that. I think Mike's doing a hell of a job. I almost got rid of you.
Yeah, I almost got fired right now. I love it.
Yep, I'm sure it'll be exciting for you guys. Brian's obviously got a little bit more experience with the headset on with his Dinner with Racers podcast.
Which is my favorite podcast. I love that
for
thing.
sure. It's been a good time. Enjoy him a lot. And it'll be exciting to hear him in the race.
Guys, we're looking at Milton Grant. He's from Germantown, Tennessee. How far is that from you, Ace?
That's just outside of Memphis. It's about 3 hours. But, you know, I love seeing the Tennesseans out here. Justin Marks lives about 5 minutes from me, and Ken Thwaites is less than a mile. So Tennessee is representing.
Then you got Scott Borchetta.
Yeah, Scott Borchetta is in Nashville. And Justin Marks, like we were talking about, and Scott Borchetta are two of the owners of this Music City Grand Prix coming up this year in August that TA2 is going to run at. And how does TA2, how does this platform handle in the street courses like Detroit or Nashville?
It's going to be exciting to see. You know, obviously we didn't get to run the Detroit event this year. I've run that in the past in some other series, but I've not run a TA2 car on a street course. We've done a lot of World Challenge races and some IMSA races and such over the years, and I really like street courses in general, but there's certainly no room for error. You know, we're yet to see completely how the track's going to look, but I hear it's got a real long straightaway over the river, over a bridge. That's going to be fun to watch and see the overhead shots, but I'm looking forward to that. Nashville is a great city, and I'm really hoping that we can go there next year and have a good battle.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, and I think it's a really good step for Trans Am. I know we've been with Indy before, but to get to race with Indy at any time really does the profile of Trans Am no harm. And, you know, I mean, the fact that Paul Tracy came back, I'm sure he saw the Detroit race and went, I'll have a go at that.
Yeah, and then it's also just really cool for Roger Penske to see what the Trans Am Series has become. You know, he kind of cut his teeth in this series as a team owner, and he loves the series, and he wants TA2 to be racing with his Indy cars.
Now here's a look at Billy Griffin. First time we've seen him, really. He is leading the GT class. Tim Horrell not showing this weekend, and that has given him effectively a free hall pass to take the championship, but he's doing it in style. He took pole position almost in the dark last night, and I spoke to him afterwards, and he is just tickled pink to be in this position. I said, what have you got to do? He said, finish the race. That's what I got to do. So Billy Griffin circulating there, the man from West Palm Beach, and looking to take that Ford Mustang to the winner's circle and take the championship in GT by the end of the weekend.
All right, so we're just down to a few laps left here. What are you telling your team as a driver, and what are you seeing, Mike?
Well, at this point, there's probably not a whole lot of radio chatter. You know, you know what you got as far as where the car is, how the balance is, how the tires and brakes feel. You probably have a pretty good idea of what the gaps are to the cars that are important for your own battles, and so it's time to lay it on the line. If you have anything left, this is where you drain the tank and you go for everything. Try to close it up and make any passes that you can to make sure that you can get as high up on a position as you possibly can. I know Boris is really pushing at this point, trying to put some pressure on Tommy, try to get by him. We can see Martin out front pretty much cruising at this point. I'm sure the team has kept him aware of what the gap is behind, so he's just making sure he's not running the revs too high, taking care of the gearbox.
Well, I heard him and Claudio talking at Grid before we went live, and he was like, just give me the gaps. And, he said, if I can stay in the lead, I just want to keep about a 500-yard gap between me and second place, and Claudio's there to just coach him through that.
Yeah, and certainly has well more than that.
Here we go.
Now, I noticed that Dreesy was actually doing a good job of catching Martin Raginger because they were only 5 seconds apart.
The gap is closing.
The gap is closing, but more importantly, the gap is closing to third place as we go back and forth with Tommy Dreesy. But look where Boris
There's
said
all three of them.
All three of them in shot now as we come down to the climax of this. Now, is Martin just easing it out, do you think?
So when you have a couple seconds gap and just a few laps to go, and you probably have a little pace in hand, you could push if you really needed to. You don't want to let the gap get too small, though. As we talked about, traffic can play a big role here. If you catch a GT car or an SGT car going through the S's here, you could lose a couple seconds in a single lap. So you don't want to let that gap get too small if you can help it. But certainly you don't need to push and try to win by a larger margin than necessary.
Great onboard shots, and we compliment Greenlight Television for the excellent job that they've done here, bringing us these live drone shots and live onboards. And we look down that back straight, and I love seeing the gaps here where you can see the traffic, you can see the battle, and you can see just how much work needs to be done in each and every battle. And really good insight as we look down over the Road Atlanta circuit. Boris said, honing in on the Dreesy machine. Two Californians going at it. Both know each other very well indeed. Dreesy's been around, a West Coast champion, and Boris has been, well, he was here since the Arc, I think. But there is your leader.
Now they're catching some in-class traffic. Amy Ruman trying to let them go through there at turn 1. Looks like not quite enough for Tommy to get up alongside of her. Now they're making the run up to turn 3. Hopefully both cars can clear and Boris can stay with Tommy and we can see this battle continue.
Yeah, it was good of Amy to give the spots to them, knowing that, she's lap traffic, given the battle. She's always a sports.
It's going to be white flag next time by. And if Boris is going to pounce, he's going to have to do it. But this race is coming to a really good climax because with 1 lap to go after this, Dreesy is in trouble.
I'm actually surprised letting the gap come down as much as he has. So maybe he has an issue here, or maybe he's just conserving. But if I were out front and everything was okay, I'd want to keep that to at least 10 or 20 car lengths and not let those guys get too close.
Well, you heard from the team manager, no team orders. Martin is not going to just let Tommy win the race, but he might like to go across the line together, but there's still work to be done because Boris is still looking for a way past as we start the last lap. The white flag is out and
now,
waving.
Yep, lots of traffic playing a role here and basically no gap.
Literally no gap. Now, as you say, I'm wondering whether Martin is just letting off, but he is kind of being a little too casual. But we'll see. Maybe he thinks, Tommy, you want it? Go for it.
It's a little sketchy trying to play the team orders game if that's what they're doing. We don't know that's the case, but with such a small gap back to Boris, it's a little bit tricky to try to slot in between them. Yep. So it's going to be tough to manage if that's what they're actually trying to accomplish.
Claudio's got to be super happy being this is his hometown, home track. He's part of the drivers club here. He's got a lot of friends here, and his cars right now are 1-2.
Yeah, that's the perfect result. The man who won last time out at the Circuit of the Americas in third place at the moment.
Looks like lots of discussion in the pit lane here. Yeah.
What is going to happen, we'll find out. We're down the back straight for the last time. Tommy Dreesy in second place, chasing his teammate Martin Raginger, who has led most of this race after Chris Dyson went out with power steering problems. Earlier in the race, Ernie Francis Jr., the championship leader, didn't make it past the first lap or so, and he was out. And Martin Raginger on his way under the bridge. One more corner to go, and it's going to be a Burton Racing 1-2. And Dreesy is going to close the gap right down, but it's going to be Raginger who wins. Dreesy takes second place on all the points that he needs, and Boris said takes third in what has been a very dramatic but excellent TA race.
Yeah, that was exciting. Obviously, a little bit of traffic coming down to the line there on the checkered flag, making it nervous for everybody, but Burton Racing crew there coming away with exactly what they needed, a 1-2 finish. Great points day for Tommy Dreesy.
We're looking for Ken Thwaites to come over the line fairly soon too in XGT.
And here comes our battle for the third position in SGT. Lee Saunders just barely holding Brumman off, who goes through the grass, coming through the checkered flag.
Brumman went
but he
right
manages
off
to keep it on.
He tried everything there. Classic finish here at Road Atlanta, but he got through just. But congratulations, Ken Thwaites looks as though he's pretty much wrapped up the championship. In TA, it's going to go down to the final race. Here is Ken Thwaites coming down to turn 10A and 10B. Been an excellent season for Ken Thwaites, and as you said, the Tennessee boy has really come on. He took a sabbatical of almost 10 years off racing, but came back, and he's come back very strong indeed.
Yeah, it's
well
been
done
a
to Ken Thwaites.
pleasure working with Ken Thwaites and his Showtime Motorsports crew, Franklin Road. They've done an awesome job. You know, beautiful cars every weekend, 2 Audis, well prepared. It's been great working with them.
It was horrible, really bad.
Tommy not happy about the radio. Hope that's nothing to do with us talking to him, but no, I think he was complaining about the race coverage of his radio connection to his engineer, obviously. But well done to the Burton Racing team. And that puts pay to our first of 2, remember. They've got another race, and that will involve Mike Skeen as well. But later this afternoon, conditions perfect, Mike, for your race. Feeling good?
Yeah, feeling great. This whole weekend has given us some great weather, very consistent track conditions with the weather being pretty similar all day long each day. So that's helped us prepare a race car and set up a race car, and hopefully we can have a nice clean battle you know, at the end of the day today. The light's going to be really tough, though, with a 4 o'clock start. Right about 20 or 30 minutes into that race, we're going to be pretty much blind going into turn 5 with the sun straight in our face. So really tricky conditions racing here late in the year, but it's going to be a good time.
Yeah, looking forward to it. As I said, we can't ask for more from the weather from Georgia in November. And as you can see, the cars filing into the Parc Ferme and also the top 3 going to the podium. My thanks to Mike Skeen. What a great insight that's been. We got Tommy on the radio. We had drama with Ernie Francis Jr. and Chris Dyson going out. And a first-time win in 2020 for Martin Ragginger. Great result for him. And for the Burton Racing, a 1-2. So well done to all involved. We await Ben to get down there and see if we can get some interviews. And we'll stay on of the Trans Am pit. And don't forget, if you're watching on the live stream or on the app, we will have all the group races in SVRA coming up, and of course that TA2 feature race coming up as Mike Skeen takes on the rest of the TA2 field. Does it help to have more rubber, or do the SVRA cars, because they're slower and they're vintage cars, not really?
It doesn't necessarily hurt. Certainly, you know, there's a lot of different rubber. We run the Pirelli tire and Trans Am, of course.
So that creates just marbles then.
Yeah, it creates some marbles, but obviously puts down good rubber on the racing surface. But then, you know, in all these other classes, you have a lot of other brands of tires and different compounds that in some cases scrub away the Pirelli rubber. So, you know, the conditions can change a little bit throughout the day just with that, but typically doesn't hurt, you know, too bad. We're not dealing with tires with super, super soft tires like an IndyCar tire or something like that that put down a lot of rubber.
That's JP Southern.
That's, of course, one of our Stevens Miller Racing cars. JP had a few brake issues earlier in the weekend. I think he got a hardship lap here just at the end as they were clearing off the track.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder why he was out there, and the reason being that he got stuck in the gravel. So let's go down to Ben Sissel, who's amongst it as always down there in Parc Ferme. Down to you, Ben.
Martin, we're live right here. How does it feel at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta to win in the TA class?
Great
stuff.
stuff.
First of all, I have to thank Burton Racing for giving me the opportunity with our Gina Madej Camaro. So I'm really happy to win my first Trans Am race. Chris was strong in the beginning. I think he got a problem, but nevertheless, my crew worked so hard until now to say that now I could give them the victory, and I think they deserve it more than I do.
Nice. I love it. Martin, thank you. Welcome to Trans Am. Claudio,
yes, sir.
From Atlanta, hometown, did you put on a show for your friends?
Well, yes, sir. Hometown here. We got a little extra recognition of what to do. And Martin did a fantastic job. Tommy, 1 and 2. Jen Amadei, Lucas Oil. We're just ecstatic. Probably drink a lot of gin later tonight and make it happen.
Nice. And we have another race tomorrow, so don't drink too much. We're going to come to Tommy Dreese because this really just played into his hands from a championship point. Tommy, come out of your car if you don't mind.
No, this is the best seat.
All right, well, let's stay right there then. Come on, Hollywood, I love it. Tommy Dreese, I know that you're big fans of Ernie Francis and you hate that, but this couldn't have played out better.
Yeah, well, what happened to him?
Clutch problems, I heard.
Before the half race?
Yes.
Yeah, but I think there's more than 10 cars, so he didn't get hurt too bad. But still, we're making it interesting. That kid and that team deserve everything they get that's good, and the luck that they have. You know, the father, the mom. Ernie drives the truck. He changes gears himself. You know, what are you going to do? But I want to beat his butt straight up in a fight. But no, this is a great race today. Traffic really was tough. You know, most of the different class guys, they're not slow. They're going as fast as they can in their class, and so, you know, you're hanging on here. So most of the time it was really good, but a couple of times I really got caught out. I know Boris got caught out. Me and Boris went 3 laps to go. He just dive bombed and he raced me so clean. I think if I was anybody else, I'd be a little bit in the gravel. He wouldn't spin me because he'll get you know, he knows how to maneuver a car. But we went through there side by side. I got up on him, and I got up on Martin, and I would have probably maybe loosened up somebody else, but he's my teammate, and, you know, Burton Racing, 1-2, and the Lucas Oil Slick Miss, 2nd place tomorrow. I don't know where we qualified during the race, but we'll see tomorrow.
Nice. Tommy Dreese, another 1-2 at Road Atlanta for Burton.
Thank you, Tony Perella, and thank you, SVRA. Tony Perella and all the people who work so hard. If it wasn't for this series is coming up, and it's because of a guy like Tony Perella and all these competitors out here and all the hard-working teams.
Thanks, Tommy. Justin Oaks, we were talking about you during the broadcast. Seems like you just came from nowhere, and now here you are, first place SGT. Tell us about your race.
Thank you. Yeah, I did kind of come from nowhere, actually. I just started racing 6 months ago. I got my racing license. Last week at COTA was my first race with Trans Am, my first Pro Series race. This was my first pole. This is my first win ever in racing. So it's been a huge team effort. The guys at G-Speed, this is Eric here, car chief, Lewis, Chris, the entire team at G-Speed building this thing, and then my coach, Jason Hart, of course, making me feel confident in the car in the corners. And then my wife back here, just the star of the show who keeps everything going, I guess. But, man, it just went great. We knew our pace was fast. We just maintained it, saved the tires in case we got a double yellow and we had to fight at the end. But when it all came down to it, I think we won by 30 seconds or something, or we got a pretty big margin. So very happy with how everybody performed.
Nice. Justin Oaks, DroneWorks Corvette. Nice job. Ken Twait's coming to you, buddy. XGT, nice job. You had some great battles out there in all different classes. Tell us about your race.
Yeah, I mean, it started out good, and, you know, you never know if it's going to go yellow in between, so you get a rest. But not this time. Just like COTA, went green the whole distance, and so it was great. Justin Oaks and I had a good battle at the beginning. You know, traffic allowed me to kind of get a gap on him. And then the TA cars are coming through. It's just a give and take, you know. It's a lot of fun, and you better work out. I'm telling you that much.
Nice. And I think now we can kind of make it official. Not officially non-official. You are the XGT champion of 2020, correct?
Yes, sir. I am the first XGT champion. We've finished all 9 races this year that we've raced in.
Wow.
You got to show up. You got to show up in order to win.
But that's awesome. That really shows for that Audi and your crew. Nice job. Franklin Road Apparel, Audi. And then we're going to come over here to Billy Griffin, our GT winner. Man, you just keep seeing to find your way to the top step of our podiums.
I love it there. That's every time it gets better and better. This one was hopefully for the championship as well. The car ran great. We had a little bit of car trouble last night, so we fixed it. We were about here till about midnight last night, 11:30. Got the car working, and it was awesome. The car was really fast. Track was very busy. In the interview I had yesterday, they asked me about the how I felt about looking in my mirrors. That was the most I ever looked in my mirrors for sure. So, and did a little bit of defensive at the end to keep the thing down and calm. I did a little bit of brake fade, so it all worked out in our favor. So I think we're the GT champion, and we won again. So.
Nice. Another champion right here. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to do our podium celebration at Road Atlanta. Great race. Jonathan Green, my favorite announcer. I'm going to send it back to you, buddy.
Awesome as ever. Well done, Ben Sissel, as Trans Am, presented by Pirelli, rolls on through Road Atlanta. What a day so far, and there's plenty more to come. My thanks to Mike Skeen coming in here and giving us an insight. We'll watch him race from pole position, and I'm really looking forward to the TA2 race coming up. But like I said, we're going to have a little bit of time off before we go racing again, and obviously we'll be covering all the SPRA, but the feature race at the end of the day later in the afternoon. So stay with us on our live stream. We'll take a short break. I hope you enjoyed our first feature race.
Lightweighting means reducing mass and consolidating parts. No one tackles these design and tooling challenges better than three-dimensional services. We'll provide flexible tooling solutions, including integrating parts, reducing design complexity, or even design changes. We're the go-to source for rapid manufacturing and low-volume production. Trust three-dimensional services to develop the most efficient approach to meet your lightweighting challenges today. Three-dimensional services. Prototype, production, proven. If your tooling isn't quite ready, and you need parts, and you need more parts than just a few, or if your run is just not that big, look to the experts in low-volume production. Three-dimensional services. Whether it's 10, 100, or 1,000 parts, we can meet your needs. And if it's 10,000, we can do that too. Three-dimensional services delivers high-quality parts for short runs, 70% faster than industry standards. Three-dimensional services. Prototype, production, proven.
Welcome back to Road Atlanta, and as you can see, plenty of action still going on as more and more cars. It's been a huge event, this. Over 360 SPRA entries, so despite the fact of the current climate, as we all know, don't need to remind you, these are tough times to do anything normally. And as the sun shines down here in Road Atlanta, we're going to take a short break, but we'll be back. So stay with us on the live stream. Keep an eye on the countdown, and we'll be back very soon with more action from Road Atlanta.